of Congo. So to kind of commemorate that, we decided to spell our Congo with a K, just to add a bit of historical value to the name. So that's why we spell our Congo with a K, basically. So I wanted to kind of get that out of the way before anyone questions that. So yeah, what are we? So KYE, again, Congo Youth Empowerment. Everything's in the name, really. We're here to basically empower the youth of tomorrow. And we work alongside the registered charity of KCA, which is the Congolese Children Association. So let's put a bit of faces behind the name. So we have our project coordinator, Benedict Wamba, which she's going to be speaking later on as well. We've got Tatiana Mugai, so she's our program and logistics coordinator. We got Merlin Sumata, who's our sponsorship and liaison coordinator. We got Diana Kassa, the communications coordinator. Diana Bambi, so we got our social media coordinator, and we got the amazing and lovely me. I'm the creative and events coordinator. So that is the team behind KYE. So why did we start the project? So before we kind of delve into that, we need to obviously figure out what was going on within the community and what actually needed improving. So we're all like-minded, and we wanted to obviously find a way to kind of contribute and to the betterment of the community. So we done a bit of research, and we found that a lot of times there was a problem with academic achievement, the mindset within the community. There was a lack of role models and a lack of support, which was quite alarming with the Congolese community being so dense and so populated in London as well. So furthermore, we needed kind of statistics to support where the issue is or where the problem lies. So we decided to go and investigate further into the borough of Haringey. So those that don't know or not from London, the borough of Haringey is densely populated with Congolese people. So #Tottenham, that's where most Congolese people live. So so yeah, so we done our research there, and we found that 36% of Congolese pupils achieved grades A to C in 2017, which was really, really shocking. Only 36% compared to Nigerians that were achieving 62% pass rates, and 56 Somalians, and 78 to white British people, which just shows that there is a huge problem. It made us quite sad because, again, there's a lot of Congolese people, there's a lot of Congolese youth. So why is there such issues? So we wanted to, again, just find a way to see how we can not resolve every single issue in the community, but a way to be part of a solution. So again, furthermore, we've done a bit more research. The past 2 years, we couldn't get the exact statistics with the Congolese ethnic group due to COVID, but we can even see now that in 2018 to 2019, only 42% of the African ethnic group were having 42% pass rates compared to English people, which was 64%. So we can see that there's still an ongoing issue, and how are we going to relieve that issue? How are we going to come up with a solution? So this is where KYE thought, yep, this is where we need to be that bridge, that change. So how are we going to be that change? We decided to come up with our mission, which is to celebrate, empower, and build the community. So how we would do that is to celebrate is, most of the time we hear everything negative about the community, everything bad, everything gang crime or things that are not going well. We don't hear a person finished their studies, a person started a business, a person done well in the community. We just hear the negative. So we thought it's time to celebrate the coming generations of the good things that they're doing, basically empower them and continue to build. So we wanted to create a platform that informs and celebrates the Congolese community. So we'll first start with our fundamental, which is to celebrate. So celebrate is, we hosted, wait for it, the first ever Congolese youth ceremony for under 21s in the UK. Can I have a round of applause? Yep, I'm dusting my shoulder off as well, because we done well, we done very well. So we were the first ever Congolese youth ceremony in the UK to, again, celebrate our youth. Most of the time, again, we just see award ceremonies for adults, for ba mama, ba papa, ba tantin, but never for banana biso that are doing well. And that year, it literally just highlighted the fact that we have so much talent in the community. If you look at the picture, we have 8-year-old Eunice, who is an amazing gymnastics, as in her leg can literally go from her to the top of her head. Her leg can stretch out so wide. So if you guys ever do get the time, please go on our website and check out last year's our first ever award ceremony, which was in 2019, and you will see the talent that we have in the community is literally amazing. And we have young musicians, we've got basketball players, we've got boxers, we've got so much in the community, but they drift away because they don't get appreciated. So it was a fundamental for us to continue celebrating and empowering our youth through this way of acknowledging what they're doing. Then last year, 2020, we had our virtual award ceremony. So this was very, very different to the physical one, where obviously COVID came and kind of discombobulated people's plans. But again, it didn't stop us to celebrate our youths of tomorrow. So we continued again with a virtual edition, which was amazing. It was also sponsored by Boss Brothers and the National Lottery Fund. So big up to them for sponsoring us. But yeah, so that's the celebrate element of it. Now that pours into our empower and build. So what do we mean by empower and build? So we have our programs and initiatives that we want to, again, push our youths along. So we got our mental KYE, where we choose the winners from the previous award ceremony. We use the winners, we pair them up with mentors that are able to kind of help develop their skills, help develop the areas that they're kind of not doing so well in. And then we have our internship program that we also newly launched, where we give them practical work experience, and it enables them for future skills in like workplaces and future roles that they want to get into. And then we have stuff like this, which is our workshops, where the youth that don't have the opportunity for one-to-one kind of help, they're still able to gain the knowledge through our workshops, such as the STEM. And we had one last year for Congo independence, where we were just talking about changing the narrative, and we had amazing thought-provoking debates. So these are our programs and initiatives that KYE is using to empower and build. And with our initiatives, especially with mentoring and internship, we make sure that we have that link and that bridge with the parents as well. So the parents has to know everything that's going on, because we want to be the bridge between the youth and the parents, which is really imperative for us, for the community to go forward as well. So that is our programs and initiatives. Now that coming to a close, how can you help? We like to base our project and to remind ourselves with 2 proverbs. The first is, it takes a village to raise a child. This means that it takes the community for all of us to build, for us to all add and to add our input to make a change, be the change you want to see, basically. So it's important for not only us, but you guys listening, people at home, to find ways to help where we can. It's not only money, it's spreading the word, it's you can become a mentor, you can volunteer with us. Even the speakers today that have come, they're volunteering their time. They don't have to, but they are, just to help educate our youth. You can help fundraise, you can do 1,000 press ups, you can be the quickest researcher, you can, I don't know, run 1,000 miles, but just a way to help us reach our goal and to continue supporting these youths. And most importantly, to spread the word. Our ceremonies comes up, you let someone know, you nominate someone that you know that's young and that's doing well, or you post, you share, you like, everything like that just helps us to grow more efficient. Unity is so important in the community, and it's the early driving force that will make us go stronger. So just to close everything up is another proverb that we love is, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Again, just to remind you that unity is everything. We can't go anywhere by ourselves. We always need a helping hand. So yeah, that's the close of everything. Any questions? Lovely people.
Thank you very much, Letitia, for that great intro to KYE. I guess leading on to that, we'll introduce quickly just how the STEM workshop is going to work for the people in the audience, and then we'll go ahead and get started with what we're all waiting for, which is the guest speakers. So let me just share my screen, 1 second. All right then, so this is what we came to this event for. It's the Roadmap to STEM, which is our first ever STEM workshop that we're hosting with KYE. Just so that everybody is comfortable, I want you guys to literally have snacks beside you, have your mikate, have your I don't know, plantain, your crisps. This is meant to be a chill session. Nobody's at school, nobody's forcing you to do anything. But yeah, have your snacks ready, and please, please, please enjoy today. It's a chance for Congolese people to come together, not just Congolese people actually, but people to come together and see the great things that the Congolese community is doing within STEM. So the only thing I'm going to probably add is sometimes it helps to make notes. So if you have your phone close and you hear somebody's dropping some gems, just maybe type it or write it so you can come back for future reference. So yes, I've got the flag here because I guess that's what is kind of bringing us together. Today we have a chance to celebrate people who are doing amazing things in their field, and they happen to be Congolese, which is a great thing to see. You don't really hear much talk about Congolese people in STEM, but today you will hear all about that. So who is this organized by? KYE. Letitia gave us a good introduction as to who KYE is. This event was also sponsored by CONDADA, who are the Congolese Association of Doctors and Dentists in the UK. So we have actually a few speakers who are members of CONDADA with us today. And Dr. Pedange at the end, he will tell us a bit more about what CONDADA is, but we thank them very much for sponsoring today. And a bit about the hosts. So you're going to find us as the guest speakers are talking, you might just find us chipping in. First of all, you've got me. So I'm the person on the left. My name is Benedict. I'm the project coordinator of KYE. And I also work as a physician associate in A&E. So this STEM workshop is close to my heart because I studied science at school and love all things science as well. I did biochemistry in my undergrad degree. And also I've got my co-host who is Tatiana. She did her PhD in metallurgical, I'm not saying it right, sciences. You can introduce yourself quickly for 2 seconds, and then after that, we'll go ahead and get started. Do you have a few words you want to say about yourself?
No, I just wanted to say that it's also something that is very close to my heart as well, because like Benedict said, she studied science, I did sciences as well. So it's something that I definitely encourage you to do. And yeah, I'm just so happy to see all these people that do sciences. I feel like growing up, especially with like a PhD, I didn't see many Congolese people, other people doing a PhD. So now seeing that there are, you know, quite a few of us out there, I know we were out there, but to actually find them and bring them all on one platform, and I know there's more, it's absolutely amazing.
Okay, cool. Oh, sorry, that was just a picture showing an example of where I work. But yeah, let's get back to our speakers. So what is STEM, first of all? So if we're here, but we haven't actually described what STEM is all about. STEM is basically, let me ask a few questions to the audience actually. Today is meant to be interactive and engaging. It's not just listening to people who like hearing their own voices talk. Who here has driven a car or sat in a car? I think in Zoom, you can raise your hand, right? So if you have done all of this, just click that little raise feature, or you can comment you can put a comment. So who here has driven a car or sat in a car? Who here has been in an aeroplane? Who here has traveled in a plane? If you've done all of these things, that means you've been impacted by STEM. So STEM subjects basically underpin all of our society. So behind a car, behind a train, there was an engineer, there was maybe somebody who works in technology, there was a scientist, there was people behind the creation of all these things that we take for granted in our day-to-day lives. And secondly, who here today woke up and has not gone on at least one of these apps? TikTok, Zoom, we're all on Zoom. So that means all of you guys have gone there. That means you all need to be raising your hands. I can't see the hand. I can see a few of you guys are raising, but this one, everybody should say yes, because again, STEM underpins everything that we do. Behind this, there was people who work in technology, who work in data, and they make all these things come to life. And again, who here was born? Everybody, you didn't just appear into this world, you were born. Even if it wasn't in a hospital, it was at home. There was probably a midwife or a doctor or a nurse, or potentially somebody who took bloods, or a lab technician who interpreted the results of the bloods, maybe a radiographer who took an x-ray somewhere. You've all come into contact with people within health and medicine. So basically, all of that was just to explain to you guys how big STEM is. STEM basically affects everything, and affects everything that we do in our day-to-day life. STEM stands for, S stands for science, T is for technology, E is for engineering, and then M would say maths and medicine. That's basically what it stands for those of you guys who've just been wondering, why do we keep on calling it STEM? If you guys follow us on social media, you've probably seen this post. If you don't, maybe this is the time to start following us at the .kye on Instagram. That's me plugging us. But you'll see that this statistics show that 6.2% of UK students who are studying a STEM subject at university are Black. I know here we don't have just people from the UK who've joined into this call, but that's where the KYE is based. So most of our data focuses on that. But only 4.8% of people studying STEM are Black African. And considering that there's a higher percentage of Black Africans in the community, that's not very representative of the actual community. So that means that there must be reluctance. There must be a reason why people are reluctant to study STEM. But an event like today hopefully will help just demystify things related to STEM and show you how accessible it is. If I can do it, if all of our guest speakers can do it, then there's no reason why, if you're interested in it, you can't too. So why you should consider STEM, this is the advice I give to anybody who's trying to figure out what it is they want to do in life. First of all, just because you work in STEM doesn't mean that all you can do STEM. You can mix and match passions. So when you're trying to decide what career you're maybe wanting to go into, you should think about what you're good at doing, what you love doing, if it makes a difference, and then hoping as well that there's a market that pays for it, because let's not take for granted, we need money at the end of the day to live our best lives, but still you want something that kind of merges all four of them, and you can definitely find that within STEM. So this is our flyers that probably caused you to come to this meeting. As you can see, we've got such an amazing range of speakers, and I can't wait to hear them. So I feel like I've even been talking too much, so they will go on to introduce themselves. I will just give you a quick agenda of the day, how today is working. So basically, we'll split our speakers up into tech, science, health, and medicine. They've all prepared some slides for us. And then after that, there's going to be a 5-minute Q&A session. That's basically where you guys in the audience can ask them any questions that you have, and they'll answer it. And then, how can I forget to bring this up? There's a quiz. Anybody who knows me knows that I love a good quiz. So we've got some questions just to help your brains work a bit today. And remember that there is a £100 total prize up for grabs today. So that means anybody who is interested in STEM and maybe needs help to get into their STEM journey, whether there's a course you wanted to go into, or a textbook you're missing, or maybe a piece of equipment, Condada, who are sponsoring this event, have given us £100 towards somebody's STEM journey. So the way we're going to pick our winner is one person is going to come from the quiz. So the person who gets the highest amount of questions right from the quiz, you're going to have access to that prize money. And the second winner we're going to pick is basically, if you feel like you really need the money to help you towards your STEM journey, you can email us what it is you need the money for and why you need it, and then we'll pick our second winner that way. So £100 is going up for grabs today. So yes, hopefully you guys are ready. Let's do this. I want energy, guys. Please interact. I don't want this to be one of those boring Zoom meetings. We all come in and it's just we're listening to people talking. Like we're here to learn, and we're here to learn amongst family. So yeah, amongst family. So have an open mind. Remember, you can be or do anything you put your mind to. And just because you are a doctor or a nurse or a scientist doesn't mean that's all you are. You can be a fashion stylist, or who happens to be a scientist as well. You could be a blogger, maybe on Instagram, and a scientist at the same time. You can be a lawyer who likes technology. Like, you can merge things. So don't limit yourself. The world is your oyster. Okay, so that's enough of me talking. We will go ahead and we will start with our first speaker of the day. I think, Tatiana, you are moderating the technology section. So do you want to go ahead and do that? I will share the screen. Actually, no, she said she was going to share the screen herself. But yeah, do you want to just go ahead and start that?
Yeah, sure. So the first who's in technology, I think software development, if I have that correct, and AI, I kind of like did it talking. Yeah, sorry. So I'll let her like introduce herself, and yeah, as much as Benedict is saying, feel free to ask questions. Let's not interrupt. Let's wait for her to finish, and then it won't be long. Trust me, it won't be long. And afterwards, we can like take 1 or 3 to comment. We can definitely write whatever you want in the comment section, and then we'll take questions from there as well, or comments if you have any. So go ahead, Amelia.
Hi, Tatiana. Thank you. Would you be sharing the slide for me? You don't mind?
Yeah, do you want me to share the slides?
Yeah, go ahead. Just because I am not on my computer. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining the workshop. This is really good. Just like Tatiana said earlier, it's always a pleasure for me to see so many smart Congolese people. We don't have that every day where we go, especially at work or places we work or we meet people. So it's really good to gather like this and just chat. It's always a pleasure. My name is Emilia Rosette. You can call me Rosie. My friend called me Rosie. I have a couple of my friends here and my cousins. So you can call me Rosie, it's fine, or Emilia as well, if Emilia Rosette is too long for you. I'm a researcher, so I'm doing a research degree in AI, which is, every time people ask me what it is, I have so many, it's like so many windows if I can open it for you, but I do work as a technical consultant, which means I get to work with companies depending on the need they have. I work from development to just being a tester or building stuff. So that's my Monday to Friday job, I would say, as well as doing my PhD, which I do both full time. Yeah, that's basically me. I'm also a coding instructor. We have a platform called Cheetah Code Academy, where we, just as part, we teach people how to code because we just want to, have a lot more people within the tech industry because we don't have many. So that's why we started the platform called Cheetah Code. Yeah, like I said, I am a PhD researcher and as well as a technical consultant. So as part of my day-to-day job, if you have the next slide for me, yeah, that would be the one. I think that's the excitement because my days don't look the same every day. It depends on what I do in terms of my contract. Like I said, I contract most of the time. But the core is for me to bring technical solutions to businesses. So it depends on the needs they have. My role is mostly to come along and just build either, I can be there from building a system to fixing a system. So I don't really have a typical day-to-day depending on the role. But if I can touch a bit on, obviously, if I come in as an STED, for example, which is a software development engineer test, I can come in to just fix bugs because obviously when you build application, I know a lot of people see application running on your laptop or you see something that's working, but you have to remember company do invest a lot of money to make sure those things work. and that involved testing it, making sure it's running. So as part of that, if I come in as an estate, I'll be part of fixing an application like that to make sure it's running properly on. So the users are happy, so the company. Obviously, I also get involved to, deployment. Currently, myself is doing AI and learning a lot more with big data and data visualization. I'm developing this massive interest into working just with data. I'm becoming obsessed with it. So that's become kind of my most favorite part of work. But then also as a PhD researcher, I am working currently on traffic prediction. I'm sure most of us live in London. London is crazy. If you drive, you know the feeling. London is really hard. Congestion is, as at the core, it's like the worst thing in London. And TfL recently have been trying to really work on how can we improve traffic prediction in London. So there's been a lot of boot camps they're running around and just trying to bring a lot of researchers to see how they can improve that. And that's where I initially fell in love with TfL data, because I was quite happy to see they don't just collect this information, they're actually trying to improve it to another level and make sure that we can decrease traffic in London, traffic congestion in London, which, yeah, it's really something they are keen on doing. So I'm doing a research in traffic prediction. I'm using TfL data, like I said, and I'm using big data. The reason we mention big data is because obviously when we come to data is huge. Big data means it's just massive and tons of data that we have and we have to run through and process through. And obviously the goal is to use those data, train a system so we can have accurate prediction. That's basically what I do. On the other side, obviously you get to capture the data, manipulate it, and just process it, like I said, to build a much more predictive system. Yeah, but other than that, as a coding instructor on our platform Cheetah Code, we're just trying to bring a balance with the pandemic. And when the pandemic started, obviously I was quite I wanted to make a change as well, be part of the change. So with Cheetah Code Academy, the goal is mostly for me personally as a person is to trying to bring that balance between the guy, to just bring the BAMI people and, create an environment where people can really most likely learn. We do teach people how to code initially, but the goal is not just to have people to learn how to code, but down the line we will be touching other STEM subject, and next year, for example, we'll be touching on mathematics as well as science as part of the workshop. We do run the bootcamp twice a year, most likely. This year is going to be twice a year, and next year as well is going to be twice a year. And that's just to trying to have more people in STEM, like the statistics showed earlier, with 6.2% of people coming from the BAMI community. It's a very low number, and it will make sense that number rises up, but that can only happen if we also do our part and trying to give back. That's most likely my slide. And in terms of how did I get there? I don't know. It's a funny journey. But initially, because I moved to the UK 11 years ago. Yeah, 11 years ago. So when I initially moved to the UK, like most of you can tell, I barely speak English though. I did learn English initially, of course. I learned English for 6 months, and then I went to learn ICT. I remember I was in college and I did ICT, and I did a BTech degree at a program, pardon me. And then from there, I fell in love with technology. I was so passionate about it. I just wanted to know things, how they worked on my phone and everything around me, how things were working. So I went on to do a bachelor degree in computer science. computer science. The whole thing was computing. And yeah, after that, I did pretty well. I went on straight to do, I did an internship after that. Then I went to do my master's, because obviously studying computer science is much more broad. If anyone who studies computer science can tell you, because you learn a bit of everything. And sometimes you kind of learn everything and not master anything really. So you will need to either really go to the industry and work, or really want to just focus on either is it development you want to do, what is it exactly you want to do. And I wanted to be kind of specific on what I wanted to do, and I went on and did my master's. So I did my master's in software engineering, and after that I went to work, which I'm still working, and my professor, he was really impressed with my project, and he wanted me to continue and be part of, the office and become a researcher. So he kind of, I would say, it was the main reason why I continued with my doing my PhD, because he pushed me a bit more as well. He believed in me, I guess. So that's how I got into doing my PhD. And obviously deciding on what research I wanted to do specifically. Yeah, it was mostly the interest I had into traffic and traffic prediction. So that's basically me. Yeah, I'm not sure if I should be saying anything else, Benedict.
So you're just going to give us your final slides, I guess, about build up your prospects for future in STEM, just like final piece of advice, maybe?
Yeah, in terms of advice, first of all, I think we have to start with saying everything requires commitment. But then personally, I think being, mathematics will help you a lot, because math is kind of the core. You need to have this logical mindset. So knowing, having a good kind of a strong math background will be really good for you. And obviously coding skills, even though I don't personally believe everyone who chooses, we don't just have programmers in the tech industry. There are so many people, but knowing how to, how applications are built and how they work is really important, because you get to understand not just the jargons, but also you get to be part of the process. Because regardless of where which job you're going to pick, you are going to be in the tech industry, you will need to an extent to know how the application was built and all of that. So that process, it's good for you to have a bit of coding background. So that's what I believe will really help someone to succeed in, in the tech industry.
Okay. Thank you so much, Emilia. That was amazing. I just wanted to ask if anyone has any questions, then fire away. Like, this is the time.
Okay, can I speak? Or...
Yeah, go for it, Katia.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Katia. I'm actually, I'm Josie's cousin, sister. Just to add to what she said, she's been really amazing. I'm giving like a little testimony so that everyone can see, because part of the last slide to explain, how can someone get into this and probably proceed. So it's going to be a comment and a little testimony of my own. I did not have any tech background, even as she says there regarding the maths, I didn't have that. I really follow a different route. I was more of the text. I did English language as A-levels. In uni, I studied international relations. I was more of a diplomatic side. But then my sister was like, oh, come, during the lockdown, she was like, oh, I just want to try teach people coding. Honestly, guys, it started as a joke conversation. It was 3 of us, myself and one of her other friend. And she was like, yeah, I could actually teach you guys coding. And we thought, yeah, why not? So with my own testimony, just to, you know, on a nutshell, as what Josie's mentioned, the key element, like they say, to succeed in life, yeah, is a cliche, but you need to just have a level of commitment. I was rubbish, guys. I was really rubbish from GCSE maths, like really bad grade, never took it as A level or even in uni. So in terms of maybe one of her first point regarding maths, I can testify I didn't have that. But to her second point, which I had, I was just committed and I was open-minded. And really, like they say, the sky's the limit. Jose started teaching me coding, and guys, after a few months, literally, I was able to sit there and start doing some coding. And from her own experience, as right now she's doing PhD, meaning that, you know, she has a really good understanding of her field. She was able to tell me common sense. You could apply for a job, you could be earning with what the little knowledge you have. So what I'm just trying to tell everyone, you might pass it to people that you know, really, we should make use of the experiences that we're exposed to. And if you want to get into yourself into like STEM, is really doable by anyone. And as she mentioned, you know, the cheater code, it is there and it has helped me. I literally, guys, I done a degree in international relations. My dream was always to be a diplomat, you know, in Congo, whatever. And right now that has gone out of the window because I can see my future in AI. I can see my future. I want to pursue more in terms of the engineering side of how how can I put it? The technology works. So yeah, so really guys, it is possible. Lockdown, yes, it was sad, you know, with the way COVID took a lot of lives, but for me, it was the time that I just revamped my thoughts in my career and what was possible. And from 3 months, trust me, guys, it's doable for anyone. And that's what I want you to say.
Okay, yes to the testimony. I absolutely love it. I love it. One thing I would say, if you still want to do coding, you can, and come back to Congo. Like, I have been here for the past 6 months in Kinshasa. Currently, I'm in Goma. But like, listen, you can come back and code here. We need skilled workers like you guys, honestly. So I fly that flag. If anyone else has any more questions, please, Dr. Kareem. Dr. Kareem, you're on mute.
Yeah. I like the presentation, and it's really nice to see people who take their careers further. They don't just get somewhere and say, okay, I've achieved enough now, I can just rest. Now, the question I was going to ask is technical. In artificial intelligence, do you use neural networks or is it like nanotechnology? Can you expand a little bit on what you do in artificial intelligence?
I'm actually exploring neural network just because the approach with deep learning and the outcome I want to do. I'm building a predictive system, so neural network is really good because obviously it's the only way you get to train a machine.
Yeah.
Human. But that's my approach. But again, I'm still in my 2nd year, so come back in 2 years' time and I'll tell you exactly what I found out. But yeah, I'm using neural network, definitely.
You love neural networks. I'm not expert in AI because I worked in it when it was starting. I'm way older than you. So when artificial intelligence started, we did a neural network is the future. So if you really, really want to be in it, is a neural network, because basically the brain, the artificial brain will become like human brain, even though it's not exactly the same, but it'll be processing exactly the same speed and doing a lot of logic connection. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And good luck with the rest of your PhD.
Thank you so much. I really love that question.
No problem.
Absolutely amazing. If no one else has any questions, then we will move on.
I have a question. I actually have a question. So,
Gabrielle?
Again, hi, this is again technical. It's related to your traffic prediction model. So I just want to know, I don't live in London, but I would like to know, how would what problem would it fix that's already, wrong with the system in London, the traffic system?
Love it. Yes, you're correct, because if you think about Google Maps is already predicting so much, right? But if you also think about Google Maps, you can see it's now using a system like Waze, for example, right? If Google Maps was so accurate, we wouldn't have a new system coming up like Waze. So which means, to an extent, I'll give you a scenario to kind of show the problem first before I even answer, if I can. So there was recently a guy in Germany. I like to say this story so much because I love it. I did find him so amazing. Who literally took a bucket and then just pull all a couple of mobile phones and just run that bucket from one end of the street to the other. And what that created for Google prediction at the time was traffic, because the only way Google get to predict traffic is from using mobile data, because obviously that's how these days they are trying to improve the predictions they have. So, pardon me, having that shows there is a leak in the system, because if Google will not be able to understand that all of this traffic are coming from one censored place, then they are not able to predict accurately. What my researchers will do specifically is not to fix Google. I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm just one human being. However, the more research we do, the better. And which means if I'm able to demonstrate a way that obviously we do have a leak, but if I'm able to show where the leak is specifically, we can have a better documentation as well. So my system is more to help TfL as a company themselves, so they don't get to rely on just one source, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Thank you. That helped a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
more to do with understanding how we initially collect the data, and obviously that comes from sensors. So it's just about showing that what we have is not currently exactly what we're supposed to have.
okay. We are so pressed for time. I know Katia also had a question, so maybe towards the end, or if we can do back at some point. So we are just going to move on now and go into our lovely scientists. So the first person, we have someone who's done biology, and I think it's Deborah or Deborah. I'm not too sure, but if she is there, she will introduce herself and give her talk.
Deborah, would you like me to share your screen, or are you okay? You're muted, by the way. We can't hear you for some reason.
You hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Do you want me to share the screen, or are you happy on your end?
I can do it. I can do it on my end.
Fine.
All right. So give me a second. Oh, you have disabled the sharing, the participant sharing. It's disabled. Okay, thank you. Can you see this?
Yes, I can see it. Hopefully everyone else can too.
All right. So hi, my name is Deborah Camille Mukaz. I am 33 years old. I am currently a postdoctoral associate at the University of Vermont, where I study cardiovascular, so like hypertension, cardiometabolic diseases like diabetes and COVID-19 epidemiology. What does epidemiology mean? This means that I'd study the frequency, patterns, and causes, risk factors of diseases in specified populations. Like I'm focusing mostly on Black and white people in the United States. And as you can tell, with COVID-19, epidemiologists are at the forefront of everything, because we are actually there to predict what's going to happen with the disease and try to understand how the disease works. And epidemiology is a large field. So I will talk a little bit about my training. So I finished my schooling in the DRC. I'm originally from Likasi, Katanga. Before I left, I think that the states have changed. And I was a laureate for the national exam, les examens d'etat. I was third and sort of second for the examen d'etat back then. And that's how I ended up in the United States. In the United States, I got a Bachelor's of Arts in French and Biology from Luther College. So the way that it works, I guess it's a little bit different than the UK system. You have the first 4 years of university, technically, that's college. And then you have a master's that is 2 years or so. And then you have a PhD, or if you want to go ahead and do go into med school, it's 4 years, 4 to 7 or 8 years, depending on what you do for your dissertation. So while I was doing my bachelor's at Luther College, a small college in Iowa, I graduated with honors and researched the genetics of race and ancestry. That was my introduction to research. I got a little bit of grants, and I tried to understand what was happening with the genetics of race and ancestry. So I got the bug when it comes to doing research. Then I decided to get a master's in science in biological sciences from the University of Delaware, Joe Biden's school. And there I did a master's with thesis, meaning that it was a short PhD. So I spent a lot of my time in the lab. Most of my days were in the lab, and I was basically a wet lab scientist, did cellular work, molecular biology work, and I focused on the blood clotting. Specifically, I looked at the protein known as TMM16F, trying to understand how it is involved in blood clotting processes. Now, I've been trained as a biologist. I trained as a biologist for years, and I realized that even though I did love biology, I was more interested in understanding what was happening with diseases at the population level. And that's how I got my PhD in medical sciences with a focus on epidemiology. So it was an interdisciplinary program with various fields of medical sciences, and you just decided to focus on a very particular field. And there, I studied the epidemiology of diabetes in African migrants to the United States. So I tried to understand how moving from the African continent to the United States, how that process is going to increase your risk of diabetes. So I did a lot of quantitative analysis, so statistical analysis. And because I tried to push when it comes to my learning, I also did some qualitative analysis when I was there in a Congolese migrant. Got a couple of grants to do my research and traveled all over the country to interview people to kind of try to get a better understanding of what I was doing. So while I was presenting at a specific conference, I had a mentor from Johns Hopkins that I met, and she was part of my committee meeting. I was presenting at the American, the EpiLifestyle, which is the big epidemiology conference from the American Heart Association. She introduced me to this lady, and she told me that this lady was looking for a postdoc. So postdoc is a part of the training. The goal when you do a PhD and you want to be in academia is that you want to own your own lab, but you have to be taught how to have your own lab. You have to be taught how to be an independent researcher. You can do that for your PhD, and then in a lot of STEM fields, you have to get a postdoc in order to become even a better independent researcher, know how to apply for grants, know how to manage people, and so forth. So she introduced me to this lady who is my current advisor. At the time, I did not know who she was. And I was like, okay. And we clicked, and I interviewed with her, and she invited me while I was doing my PhD, she invited me to the University of Vermont. And then I discovered she is one of the biggest epidemiologists in the world and in the United States when it comes to the work that we do. So we have the lab that currently houses me is one of the biggest labs in the world when it comes to doing epidemiological work or looking at assays, so looking at biomarkers, looking at what is happening in, like, taking people's blood and examining what is happening in the blood, trying to understand all these biological component for as I said, it's one of the biggest labs when it comes to clinical trials. We're involved in a lot of clinical trials, including clinical trials with COVID-19. We are involved in a lot of some of the largest longitudinal studies in the United States. And also we are also involved in some of the pharmaceutical trials. And my advisor, she was also very much involved in the American Heart Association. She's a PI for a lot of these studies. And she was looking for a postdoc on the regards, which is my current study, which is the reasons for geographic and racial differences in stroke, one of the largest and the biggest longitudinal studies in the United States when it comes to stroke and when it comes to some of these cardiovascular diseases. And speaking of the regards, before I speak for I have to go back a little bit. So as part of the regards, I was doing my work in the regards. I got involved with the group. The regards is it's our PIs or principal investigators. We have them at the University of Vermont. We have them at the University of Alabama. We also have them at Columbia in New York with one of the biggest neurologists, one of the most famous American neurologists in the country. Dr. Jennifer Manley is one of our PIs for the regards. So doing my work for the regards, enjoying it, then COVID-19 happened. We have the data, we have the knowledge, we are epidemiologists, we understand that COVID-19 has very strong cardiovascular links, so we have to get involved. So we started working, looking at COVID-19 in the regards. Then we hear this call from the NIH, which is the largest funding agency in the world. And part of the NIH has different institutes. And one of those institutes is the NHLBI, which looks at blood diseases and so forth. The NHLBI is trying to create this big cohort of cohorts. So the largest cohorts in the United States come together to form one cohort to understand COVID-19. We saw the call, we answered the call, and the regards became part of C4R. So this is my advisor. Like I said, I'm part of the regards, but C4R is the collaborative cohort of cohorts for COVID-19 research. And we haven't started doing the analysis of the data, but I've been sitting in committees deciding what is included in C4R. So basically I've been very much involved in shaping what C4R is going to look like, what our knowledge of COVID-19 is hopefully going to be to look like very soon. And as I told you, the regard is my main study, which is now part of C4R, and this is Vermont. So as part of C4R and as part of my own research, I've published a couple of things. We have recently published our design. It's on MedRx because we had to go fast. We are applying for another big NIH grant, so we had to put it as a preprint. I've published on my PhD work on diabetes and acculturation in African migrants, and I have written a review on identifying genetic and biological determinants of race and ethnic disparities in stroke in the United States. So, like I said, all of this is eventually will allow me to become an independent researcher. And as a way to become an independent researcher is to get funded by the NIH. So you get funded by the NIH. Hopefully, I'm hoping to apply for a K grant, which is an NIH grant very soon. You get funded by the NIH, you apply for a K grant. And then as part of that, you can have your own lab and then produce more data. So what is my advice? Seek out mentors. I say that all the time. Our currency in academia, in research, are our networks and our collaborators. You have to have mentors, and you have to have a lot of mentors. You have to have multiple mentors because they will help shape your career. You have to find a purpose. I love what I do. This is my passion. Doing a PhD is extremely tiring. Like mentally, it's a challenge because you are trying to push knowledge. So you have to find a purpose, find a community. I'm very outspoken about what I like. I'm very outspoken about my work, about how it's related to what we are seeing right now in the world, and have found a community of people, of scientists that are like-minded scientists and medical doctors that are like-minded and don't give up, because we are trying to change a field that do not necessarily include us. So trying to be there, finding a community, grounding yourself in what you do and grounding yourself in a community is going to be very helpful. So, so thank you. And I guess I'll stop sharing. If you have questions, I guess this is the time.
That is absolutely amazing. I do agree with you. PhD is very, very exhausting. So you need to definitely be passionate about it. I had a question. I'm not sure if anyone else had a question, but my question was, what were your conclusions when you said you actually tested on like the Congolese like community?
So
in terms of like diabetes?
Yeah, so I had interesting conversations about, because I'm a strong believer that the data tells only part of the story. When we do our quantitative analysis, when we look at the data, we analyze the data, it's only part of the story. You have to talk to people. So what I did find out is that we hear about diet, physical activity and all that, but when you go deep, you realize that the reason why people might have a shift in diet is because of the economic situation, and at times because of racism. Racism is going to influence the economic situation. It's going to force people into making these choices where if you don't have money, if you live in a food desert because you're an immigrant, you are forced to eat bad food. Physical activity, if you have to work, you don't have a car, you have to work. When do you have the time to be physically active? It's not like in the like in the United States, it's hard for you to walk to work. You either take a bus, and if you take a bus, it takes a long time, so you cannot go to the gym. And also the culture of physical activity is not necessarily, of going to the gym is not necessarily Congolese. So now you have this big shift where you don't necessarily have a culture to go to the gym. You are not able, even if you wanted to go to the gym, you're not able to. So issues with physical activity, stress, you live in the United States. So you have to navigate a very complex society with very complex issues with regard to race and with regard to immigration. So all of these different components are very helpful when you try to have prevention measures for these particular populations.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have a question?
Yes, I have a quick question. Thank you so much, Dr. Deborah, for such an amazing presentation and amazing journey. We are very proud of you. One of my question is, what's the difference between like medical sciences and biology, for example? Like, why not the PhD in biology and the PhD in medical sciences?
Biology is more so, when you look at biologists, we tend to be more so hands-on in the lab. So the way that we create knowledge is by looking at these cells or these, just doing the biological work. With medical sciences, I feel like it's a little bit broad. Now you can still do biological work with medical sciences, but there are different applications. So you can push your application a little bit further. I mean, the line is very thin there. For me, it was more, it was easy to tell that I was doing medical sciences focused on epidemiology, but for other people, I know that some of my cohort members, for instance, they were trying to use 3D printing, like for hearts, muscles, and all that as an application, like a real life application. In biology, it's a little bit more limited when it comes to applying what you are doing to these larger things. At least that's how it felt like when I was at the University of Delaware.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Yeah, I have a question. Thank you so much, Dr. Deborah. It was really inspiring hearing what you have to say. Just going on your slide, I think it was second to last, where you display America and perhaps the data that you collected across. If I recall, when you gave your introduction, you said that you studied in the Congo. Is there any future input you see that Congo as a country will be able to get to the stage where we could also display such information? Because as I could say from my study, there's a generations, like second and third generation of immigrant, there's that ability that most are starting to thinking of going back home. So as a doctor, you will have a shift of, let me say, patient. So how much is into what you are doing or studying that to gather data that will reflect the same as what you had on your slide for Congo?
There's amazing work that is being done in Congo. We have to recognize that when it comes to COVID-19. The United States is very particular, even when you compare it to European countries, is that it's a gigantic machine when it comes to biological research. We have billions of dollars when it comes to funding biological research, biomedical research. So it's a different ball game, but that does not mean that we cannot apply our knowledge to Congo or have some of the more obviously different depending on the environment in the Congo. Like for instance, as a collaboration between the United States and the Congo and some of the other European countries, we're able to find the first vaccine for Ebola, and it's FDA approved. It was done in the Congo. There's amazing biomedical research that is being done there. And I think they have, I think it's the INRBE, like the institution that they have there. And their head was actually featured in Times magazine as one of the most influential people in the world. So biomedical research is being done back home to a lesser extent than the United States, because obviously it takes a while to create the gigantic machine that is the NIH.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Sorry, guys, I'm going to just have to say, unfortunately, because of time constraints, as much as these questions are amazing and I want to hear more, we're going to have to be a bit stricter with our Q&As. So Tats, for the next few speakers, do you mind just allowing one question per speaker? And if there is any more questions, please write it in the message and we will pass it on to our speakers and we can hopefully get back to you. I'm very sorry about this, but I'm just weary of time. So yeah, Tats, you want to continue on with your section?
No, of course. We can just write the questions in the comment section even afterwards when we've moved on to the next speaker, and then that person can look in the comment section and respond. Try to write the questions for everybody so that everyone can benefit from it. I know that, Kata, you had a question when Emilia also said something, so I'm not sure if she has responded to that just yet, so it'll be great if you could respond to her question to everyone. Right now, so we're going to move on to engineering. So we have Dr. Kareem, who's going to tell us a little bit about what he does and who he is and how he got to where he got to. So go ahead, Dr. Kareem.
Yeah, hi.
Benedict's sharing the slide, right? Yeah.
Yeah, can you share my slides, please?
Yeah, I will share the slides. So
let's try and keep it to under 5 minutes, guys. That would be great.
Yes, I'll try.
Thank you.
Sorry, 1 second. Sorry, do you want to just start talking whilst I try and find your...
Oh yeah, sure. The first slide will show that will be a bit of me, and I'm not going to go through all the qualifications as you can see them. So I went through everything, and there's a difference between studying and learning. You could study all the way to PhD, but you don't stop learning. You learn every single day, and I love learning. So that explains why I've got a wide field. I've gone through, I love sciences and maths, but I've done everything. So for instance, I've done 2 degrees, 2 masters, one in engineering business management, the other one in Masters of Business Administration from a Warwick School of, no, what do you call it? A Warwick Business School, sorry. Then the government made a call, wanted people to come and teach. It was a big drive back in 2005. So I went and I was paid to do my postgraduate diploma in maths. And then I was teaching, I taught in college, I taught at university, and then I had enough of teaching because kids were just driving me crazy. I'd rather do one-to-one with kids. Okay, here we go. Will I be able to move the slides?
1 second, 1 second. I'm just getting it on. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, can you see, what can you see in the screen at the moment?
I can see the second page.
Okay, and you want me to move on to the next?
Yeah, I could speak quickly on the first page. So amazing, I started my education, primary education was in Kinshasa, and then I was shipped to Katanga, same as Deborah. I went to Likasi. I did my secondary school, Likasi, then France, then England. So as I said, I got my baccalaureate in maths and science. Then I moved on to university. Obviously, I got the BN honors in KYE, which is electrical and electronic engineering. Then moved on to GDL, which is graduate diploma in law, which I changed. I wanted to be a lawyer, so I went there. Not satisfied, I went back. The government was running this drive called engineering doctorate, as totally different from a PhD, because you could have your PhD, you do research based at university, you understand the subject matter. Engineering doctorate, one of our conditions where you need to innovate. So you have to come up either with a patent or something in order for you to get your PhD. But en route to that, you needed to do your master's and you needed to have a distinction in the master's. So if you didn't get a distinction in master's, they stop your fundings. We were being funded by the EPSRC, which is Engineering and Physical Sciences Research Council. So I didn't have to pay for my master's or for my PhD. The government paid for that. The only condition was after graduation, the first 2 years, I could not work abroad. I had to work here. So I ended up working for government in a government department where my research was found to be valuable. Some of the research I did for government is classified, so I can't talk about it. So my specialization was in vehicle and spatial telematics. So telematics is really any science that combines everything, remote actuation. So all these abbreviations, CAW is collision avoidance and warning systems. EW is electronic warfare. So that's what we did for the government and in the other areas as well as we went along. So can you move on, next one? So this is some of the work I did. The first one in corner, top right in corner, that is a GPS satellite. So whatever we did, you'll see why GPS, I know people use it on the mobile phone to go from A to B, but when GPS was invented, no one had in mind that it'll be ever used for people to walk around with it. It was for warfare, okay? It's starting about, people have heard of GPS now, but it's been around since 1973. It was invented by the US Air Force to guide the missiles to the targets. That's why GPS was invented. It's a network of 24 satellites and blah, blah, blah. But now there are other networks. So the chances are if you navigate it, you'll have the Russians have their own, which is called GLONASS, and the Europeans have their own called Galileo. On the left, that's the exactly, that was part of my PhD, is the collision warning system. So every time you go in a car, you reverse, it tells you there's something behind. I work on that. And in the bottom left-hand corner, that is actually patented, that's Goma HD. So that system works in the vehicles now. So that was me. I work on that. Next slide, please. So that's to show you exactly on the left, that's a civilian use of GPS, you and your mobile phone trying to find out where you're going. On bottom is a vehicle tracking system. So that's civilian use. On the right, this is exactly what it was made for. The missile, you see there is a Tomahawk cruise missile, which is being used by Royal Navy and the US Navy. So GPS will guide that missile to its target. So I work on this and how to defeat it and other stuff. So that's what I was doing. And yeah, we press for time. I don't know anything else. So if we can go to next slide. Okay, in conclusions for all those who want to go in STEM, so remember that you can be wherever you want to be. The sky is not the limit. If you stumble and fall, get up stronger. Nothing good comes easily. You don't have to be the smartest person. You just need to be the most focused and dedicated. In STEM, you'll find your place if you want to. As we said, it's a broad area in STEM. So why choose STEM? Because the world as we know it today could not exist without STEM. I mean, we'll go back to Stone Age. Right now, everything you see, you touch is all driven or made with STEM in mind. So that's it. So good luck. If there's any question, that's absolutely fine. Was that 5 minutes?
Thank you so much. Yeah, that was really good.
Okay.
Definitely an engineer there, sticking to time. We appreciate it.
No problem.
Does anyone have a question? Ideally, someone who hasn't asked a question already. No?
Good.
Does anybody at all have a question? I have a question.
Yeah.
So, okay, so with the patent of the camera with reversing, to patent it, it means that you have come up with an invention that ideally no one else has. What is different about what you are providing than that isn't already out here? Okay, correction. My invention is not, because there are different systems. A camera is just one of the systems to avoid collision. Ours is based, is capacity based, meaning it goes inside the bumper, in the doors and everywhere. So like on my car, if you open the door, there's an obstacle, it's gonna stop the door opening. It's gonna tell you, even your boots, if you open in the boot and there's an obstacle, it's gonna stop the boot opening. That's my invention. People want to check it out to see more. I've got here, you can look at the USPT or that's a US Patent and Trademark Office. I'll give the patent number, you can go and look at it. Because yes, the technology existed before, but is how I applied it is totally different. It was innovative, that you can't get a patent for something that exists already. So that's I got my PhD. Let's call it PhD for everybody. So yes, it was a new technology. Okay. No, okay, no, that's absolutely great. Hopefully you'll be able to share the link with in the chat so everyone's aware. Like, I'm assuming, is it for sale or?
Oh, it was already purchased when, as you know, you as a PhD student, you do all the work, the university gets all the credits, the company makes all the money. So
the company,
No,
yeah.
you can make money out of it.
It depends. Is it a pump? When did she have the surgery?
When?
Can we mute? Okay, that person's been muted. Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is, so when I did it, the company, I was based in a company between the US and the UK. It was an Anglo-American company. So they got the patents. The first thing they did, they sold it to 3M. 3M bought the patent, they made the millions. They shared between them and Warwick University. I got only a piece of paper. That's it. Not even anything else. No money. If I'd invented it at home, which I had the idea from home, but I could not do it on my own. I needed really big labs to do the research. So I completed it. The company, yes, I was getting a salary every month. We were well paid, not just like a PhD. Back in 2000, I was making about £2,500 a month as a student. So they invested a lot in us. And in return, they wanted a patent and they sold it. I could tell you without lie, probably 300 million, because it's on every car, any top of the range car, they have it. So they're making lot of money. And all I have to show for it is just a degree. And
yeah,
that's it.
that's unfortunate, but I guess you contributed to the greater good.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I guess the conclusion from that is,
Tatiana.
if you're doing a PhD, it's about the greater good, I suppose.
Absolutely.
I don't agree with it,
but you can still do that very much.
Yeah. No, one thing we have to do, sorry, this is just up of the scope. We have a lot of researchers here. We have a lot of heads. It's a question of how to make money from research. Because all of you doing PhDs and stuff, you could come up with innovative stuff. They don't belong to you. They belong to your universities or whatever institution you're doing research for. The next step is someone like me setting up a lab where we do research, and if we come up with a product, we make money from it, or we could do it back home. Otherwise, as long as within academia, either at university or in a company, you are not entitled to anything at all. That's the contract. All you need is just your PhD. That's it. You get it, you get your recognition. That's all you have. I've been all over the world making speech. I was presenting the product to Nissan, Toyota, everything. But when it comes to money, it was between the company and the university. They share the money and that's it.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you so much. We're going to move on.
No
problem. Dr. Karim, sorry, there's a message. Somebody asked if you can put maybe your email in the chat.
Yes.
Somebody was asking your contact details. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Please,
no
please be checking the chat. There's questions there probably for you guys, Amelia, Karim, and Deborah. So we're going to move on to our next speaker, Kevin, who is a chemist. Is Kevin here?
So if you
I am here.
Kevin, do you want me to put your slides, or are you happy to share on your end?
If I have the permission to share, I can do it.
Okay, fine. Yeah, you should have permission. I'll let you go ahead.
Okay. I just gotta find my. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Okay, perfect. So hello, everybody. I guess good morning or good afternoon, depending on what side of the world you currently reside. So my name is Kevin Ileka. I am an analytical chemist in the biopharma industry. I was born in Kinshasa. However, I grew up most of my life in New York City. And I'll talk to you a little bit about my career journey, my educational journey, and hopefully I can inspire some people to get into the pharmaceutical industry, because I think the common theme here is we need more of us everywhere. So yeah, let's get going here. So here is just a picture of some of the instrumentation that I used during my graduate work. Let me see if I can do a laser pointer. Okay. So this is a quarter, and this is basically I put a quarter near it just to get a sort of a scope of the size. So in my graduate research, I basically use analytical techniques to study biological molecules, RNA, DNA, proteins. So you see something this small produces so much information. These are gold electrodes. I'm not going to get too technical, but basically, I work with machinery to produce information that, hopefully one day scientists like Deborah can help us, really address some real key issues that the world is facing today. So here is a little bit about my academic journey. So I did my undergrad at St. John's University, that is in Queens, New York. And some of the research I did as an undergrad was, I looked at RNA, DNA nucleosides using computational chemistry. So I wasn't a wet chemist as undergrad. All of my chemistry was done on the computer. And a lot of that research had implications for technology, medicine, and health. So then one summer between my junior and senior year, I was able to do a summer internship that was funded by the National Science Foundation, NSF, at the University of Wyoming. So that's in Laramie, Wyoming, basically on the other side of the country. There, I took a little pivot where I worked on energy science or environmental science. I looked at biogenic methane production in coal samples. So I was able to go to coal mines and things like that and get coal samples to kind of, understand new and innovative ways we can, and safer ways we can produce methane in the environment. So that basically gave me the research bug. For the first time, I understood what life was like as a graduate researcher, what it took to really go from an idea to something, from idea to the lab to something, to some sort of discovery. So at that point, I was sold that I did want to do some type of research as a career. So I moved on to graduate school to get my PhD in analytical chemistry at the University of Michigan. There I looked at, like I mentioned before, characterizing RNAs and their complexes. So RNAs can make complexes with small drug molecules. They can make complexes with protein molecules, or they can make complexes with other RNAs. So I know a lot of time this year, especially in the news, we hear a lot about, the COVID-19 molecule and how it's a RNA and protein complex. So a lot of the work, the fundamental work I was doing was able to characterize molecules kind of like COVID. Unfortunately, I was before the time where COVID was really hot, so I didn't get to work on something as cool as COVID. So after my PhD, I was able to get a job at Bristol Myers Squibb. So Bristol Myers Squibb is one of the larger biopharmaceutical companies. So we have a lot of disease areas. We look at oncology, cardiovascular, immuno-oncology. Now we're getting into cell therapy. So as an analytical chemist, I work in the drug substance method development department. And again, a lot of the work and a lot of the things that inspired me, it was to help the world from the biological sense. But from the research sense, I could, develop new diseases, new medications for diseases to help patients around the world. So here's a little snapshot of a lot of the stuff that I did during my graduate research. So here are the instrumentations that I use to characterize molecules such as these. And also this picture here that you see, the little animation, that is actually one of our magnets about to blow up. So that is, if you're ever in charge of taking care of a superconducting magnet, you never want to see this, but it was a really cool learning experience. Maybe a minute after that happened, you heard a big boom in the lab. And that repair cost the lab about $30,000. So I like to show that, and me and my lab mates used to joke around about that all the time. And then down here, I was also able, in graduate school, to develop a new lab for undergraduates, where we introduced the idea of, we created a lab where we can teach the students about microfluidics. So we really wanted to modernize the curriculum because a lot of times they were learning things that, you know, our grandparents probably learned. So, you know, research moved past a lot of the things that they were learning in analytical chemistry. So we want to introduce microfluidics. So we had them create microfluidic chips using, the first iteration of this, they used Jello, but that got a little too messy. So we used agar and food coloring, and we taught them the idea of laminar flow versus turbulent flow and things of that nature. So what do I do in my day job now? So this is kind of like a little snapshot just to get everyone oriented. So to go from drug development is a 10-year process, 10 to 12 years, depending on what kind of drug it is. And it costs about $1.3 billion to go from an idea of a drug to actually have it in market. So I don't know what 1.3 billion is in pounds. Is it what, like 800,000 pounds? I guess someone can tell me that in the chat. I'm not sure. So basically, so we start with a 10,000 compound drug candidates, and there's some sort of computational method that is used to really funnel that, because you can imagine, you know, we don't have the people power to really go in a lab and synthesize 10,000 compounds. So they try to funnel it to a more manageable number. And then from there, there's different toxicology experiments, or, you know, experiments they would probably do on animals to kind of get a sense of which of the drug candidates, drug candidates are most promising. And then then you get a couple compounds that go to clinical trials. And then out of those compounds, they will choose one compound that will go to the FDA for approval. So it's really expensive to make a drug. So, you know, we can go into the conversation of whether or not drug prices are too high. And I'm more than happy to have that conversation because I do still think they're too high. But that $1.3 billion, you know, it goes to, you know, paying scientists, paying equipment, sourcing materials, because a lot of the chemicals needed to do these reactions are not cheap. You need to, you know, we work with rare metals to do, you know, certain types of chemistry, and the instrumentation could be millions of dollars. So, you know, that's just a side note, just to get, you know, people an idea why medicines cost so much. So here is basically the three different, you know, phases in the drug development process. So this will look, because the drug development is very highly regulated, it's not going to look that different depending on what company you go to. So you can work as a chemist in the discovery space. This is where you're working with a lot of different drug candidates. I am in the process space. So our responsibility in process chemistry is to scale up. So when we get to 1 to 3 drug molecules in our department, our responsibility is to scale up from milligram scale to kilogram scale. And this happens in our plants. And it's probably the most amazing thing I've ever seen, is like these big drums of equipment, you know, producing so much drug material. And then, sorry, I cannot see on the right side, but that's fine. And then it goes to the marketing side. So from the process side, you can go anywhere from a phase 1. So this is FIH is first in human, to phase 3, which is the NDA filing, which is a new drug application. So as I mentioned, we're trying to scale up from milligram scale all the way up to, you know, past the kilogram scale to, you know, to really service all of our patients around the world. Sorry. So this is my advice. This is, I like to have this slide here. So when going through your PhD, so this is me as I started my PhD. I thought I would go in and it'll be, you know, smooth sailing to my PhD. But in reality, it looks kind of more like this, right? You know, you go in, you have there's a lot of valleys. There's a lot of, you know, research is fun, but it's not easy. You know, you have an idea and you do experiment after experiment after experiment. And what kept me going is that one time that it worked. But this is not to discourage anybody from going into research. I think, like I said before, and I think it's going to be the common theme today, is I encourage everyone to go into research, but do something that you love, so that this reality is not super daunting. That's what I have. That's what I have for today, and I'll be more than happy to take any questions. Thank you for the invitation, and thank you for this event. I'm really enjoying it.
Thank you so much. I loved your presentation. That is definitely a realistic, the realities of doing a PhD. I think someone had a question in the comment section, so I'm just going to read that. I think it was Emmeline. She said, "Hi, Kevin. Why is there not enough research on genetic disease, specifically for those that affect minorities?"
Why is there not enough? So there is research on genetics for sure. But there can never be enough. I think the issue is we need more minorities in those positions to really, drive that research, because, unfortunately, we can't depend on other people to think about problems that affect us. So I think, hopefully, there's more forums and more workshops like this, and we're inspiring the next generation to get into research, they could really, own the research and really go into research with things that really they're passionate about and really affects their community. So there's definitely research about, genetic research, but I agree there's not enough. And I think the reason being is because, we're just not there.
Okay, just one more question and then we'll go to Benedict. Gabrielle has said, "Hi, Kevin. I'm an undergrad pharmacy student. What would my path be from here to ending up doing what you do in a lab?"
So as a pharmacy student, you have a lot of opportunities. You can work in a lab like me, or you can go to the marketing side, because as a pharmacist, they have a good idea of more of the marketing, and actually what, they can talk to doctors and do all that stuff. I'll be more than happy to talk to, who is it, Gabrielle?
Gabrielle, yeah.
Yeah, I'd be more happy to talk, because there's a lot. As a pharmacist, in the pharmaceutical industry, there's actually, the world is their oyster in a sense. But I don't want to, take all the time to talk about it, because that can go on forever. So we could.
Yeah, I also have some questions. So I will also just type it in the group. I think okay. Deborah also has some questions in there. So if you pop in the chat, you'll be able to answer some questions. And I think now it's our interval. Over to Benedict for the quiz.
Hey guys, so just a bit of a breather in between. Thank you so much to our science and tech people. We still have actually one more science feature at the end, but we're going to be moving on to our health and medicine speakers. But just to break things up a bit, we have a quiz. And just to remind you guys, the reason we're doing this quiz is because there's a prize to be won. So obviously a lot of people here are still in the beginning or maybe the middle along their STEM journey. So you might need a bit of extra support or help, whether it's that course you want to attend, or maybe books, or I don't know, just anything that you need to help your STEM journey. This is your chance. So the person who gets the most answers in the quiz will win some of our £100 prize, and the second winner will be whoever needs the money the most. But anyways, you can just all take part. If you've got your phone or you've got in the chat, I would say just keep your answers ready, and then in the chat, everybody, you put your answers, and then one of our KYE people will be just checking the answers over. So after the quiz, we'll move on to health and medicine. Thank you to everybody who's still here. I know originally it was meant to be ending right now, but obviously we're running a bit short for time. So let me just move on swiftly. 2 seconds. All right, great. Can everybody see my screen, by the way? If Tats, if you raise your hand, then I know you can see my screen.
I can see your screen.
Good. Yes, we got a quiz. Anybody who knows me knows I love a good quiz. So let's get on with it. So please, again, like I said, on your phone or whether it's on paper, just have your answers ready. So true or false, this is a real STEM job. We have Legoland designer. For our American colleagues or for our colleagues who aren't in the UK, Legoland is like basically a big amusement park. So think Disneyland, but not as good as Disneyland, but close enough. So Legoland designer, sports statistician, Spotify engineer. Spotify is where we listen to music streaming, and professional hacker. So don't put the answers in the chat right now. You'll put all your answers at the end. Otherwise, somebody will copy you. I've warned you.
Oh.
So just write true or false beside this. I'm going to give you guys like, what should we say, 5 seconds? And then we'll move on to the next question. Okay, so you just put T or F, true or false. Okay, great. I'm gonna move on. How many people work in STEM in the UK? So when I'm talking about STEM in this instance, I'm not talking about necessarily doctors or healthcare workers such as nurses. This is just, let's say, the other side of STEM. So as we've seen, our fellow scientists, technology people, engineer, and mathematicians. How many people work in STEM in the UK, do you think? Again, I'm going to give you guys
As in Black people?
No. This one is
everybody.
Everybody. Good question. If it was Black people, I don't know if our numbers would be millions like this. But, okay, I'm going to move on. So for this one, just write A, B, C, or D. Okay, great. Next question. How much more do STEM graduates earn in their lifetime in comparison to non-STEM graduates? Let me rephrase the question. How much more do STEM graduates earn in their lifetime in comparisons to people who didn't go to university at all? So not comparing it to non-STEM graduates, to people who just didn't go to university. So people who haven't graduated from university. It's not meant to be a trick question. Just pick whatever you feel is right. Again, I'm going to give you guys 5 seconds. Next one. If I do a science degree or A-levels, do I have to be a scientist? So A-levels is the examinations that we usually do here before we go to university or college, as they call it in America. So A-levels, you usually do it when you're around 16 to 18. So if you do a science degree or you do science A-levels, do you have to be a scientist? Okay, now, Tatiana, since you were asking about Black people, this is the part where I tried to make it Congolese. That was a bit difficult. So I'm going to put this as Black history in STEM. So this is a different type of quiz format. Here you have 5 people who are in STEM. You can see they're all numbered 6 to 10. And A to E represents all of their potential inventions or professions or contribution to STEM. I want you to match the number, the person, with what they did. So for example, if you think Dr. Marion Croak, who's number 6, was a mathematician who worked for NASA, then you'll put 6A and so forth. So basically, this one, I'll give you guys a bit longer. I'll give you guys maybe 30 seconds to do this. So write 6 to 10 and then match it with the letters of what you think they did. So we have Dr. Marion Croak, Gerald A. Lawson, Catherine Johnson, Dr. Dennis Mukwege, and who's at the end? Oops.
Oh,
no. Okay. I can't see who's at the end. And then you have the 5 potential careers they did. So mathematician who worked for NASA, invented traffic light, invented voice over internet protocol, and you guys can read. I won't read it out for you. So I'll give you guys 5 more seconds. I can see a lot of thinking faces. This is good. This means I'm testing you. It's not too easy, I hope. Okay, I think we are ready to move on. So before I put the answers, I want you guys to actually have proof of what you wrote. So if you want to be entered for the competition, then put your answers in the chat. If you just did it for fun, it's fine. But if you want to be entered in the competition, please write your answers now or forever hold your peace. And can one of the KYE team, can you tell me when people have written in the chat so I can move on? Unless everybody just did it for fun and they don't want to win anything, don't be scared to show your answers. It's all fun. It's all in the name of fun.
In the spirit of embarrassment, guys, I've shared my answers. So
No, there's
go
no
for it.
embarrassment here.
Yeah, my
I learned
answers.
your answer's there. We need it in the chat for proof.
I didn't enter the competition.
Okay, no worries. Okay, we're going to move on to the answers now, guys. Okay.
Not yet, not yet.
Not yet. Okay, fine. I'll give you a bit more time.
This one's really hard.
Remember that there's a money prize to be won here. You guys can win something to help your STEM journey. So this is serious competition. To be fair, I learned new things whilst I was doing this as well. Thank you to Emmeline who helped me come up with the questions as well. So yeah. Okay, are we ready to move on now?
No, a few more people.
A few more people. Okay, fine. I will give you guys literally 1 more minute. Let me actually put a timer on my phone, then everybody can see it.
Oh, Kat is struggling. It's resetting every time.
By the way, for whoever doesn't win the quiz prize, don't worry, you can still win contribution to your STEM journey. You'll just have to email us. Don't worry.
Jemima said she kept sending her answers to Katia by mistake. Well, Jemima, I'm sorry.
I know. I tried to repost it out for you.
Okay, 18 more seconds.
Everyone, 18 seconds left.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I think that's enough time. Okay, cool. We'll move on. So this was in fact all true. All of these careers qualify as a STEM career. This just goes to highlight STEM is not just what you think about working in, maybe in the lab or being a doctor. There's so many more things to it. You can literally look into every industry and behind it, there's somebody who works in STEM. So yes, if you got all of these as true, then you got it right. How many people work in STEM in the UK? So 5.8 million people. That is 20% of the workforce. And yeah, UK businesses rely on people with STEM skills. How much do STEM graduates earn in their lifetime in comparison to non-graduates? So graduates tend to earn £160,000 more than non-graduates, whereas STEM graduates, they specifically earn a whopping £250,000 more in their lifetime. So chemistry and physics graduates, so here I think Kevin, you count as a chemistry graduate. Apparently he's going to earn more than most of us in his lifetime, and same with people who did physics. All right. If I do a science degree or A-level, do I have to be a scientist? No, you don't. Like we keep on saying, the world's your oyster. You create the route that you want to create. For example, if you're interested in, like I said before, technology, but you like law, you can be a lawyer within the technology field. You can go into sales. There's loads of transferable skills. If you did a STEM degree, you are going to be valuable to any workforce. And then here, this is, I think, what most people found difficult. Number 8, Katherine Johnson. Who's watched the movie with, what's her name? Taraji P. Henson, I think, played Katherine Johnson. Somebody remind me of the name. Hidden Figures. Hidden Figures.
NASA.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
So she was the mathematician who worked for NASA. Yeah. Garrett Morgan, he invented the freeway traffic light. Marion Croak invented voice over internet protocol. So that's basically what you use, for example, what we're using right now to speak over Zoom. Yeah. Exactly. And then Gerald A. Lawson, I thought, let me make it easy for you. As you can see, he's got this computer looking thing. So you can kind of guess that he invented the first cartridge-based video game console. And then our fellow Congolese, Dr. Denis Mukwege, if you don't know about him, you need to get to know about him. He's treated thousands of women who were victims of rape, and he created the Pansy Hospital and Pansy Foundation. So we don't have too much time to go over each person, but Dr. Marion Croak, like I said, when you use Skype, when you use Zoom, think of her. Gerald A. Lawson, Dawson, he invented the first cartridge-based video game console. So anyone who owns a PlayStation, Wii, or Xbox before that, there was this Channel F-looking device. So say thank you to him. And then Katherine Johnson, we've already spoken about. She was a mathematician whose calculations were integral in NASA's space flights. And then Dr. Denise Mukwege, Congolese doctor for Pansy Foundation. And then Garrett Morgan and the traffic lights. Okay, and many, many more. And basically you guys are next. The next quiz that I do, hopefully I'll be featuring, who knows, one of you guys in the future. But
well, we need to be featuring Kareem's invention. That's what we need to be featuring.
Yes, we do. Oh my gosh, if I knew about Dr. Kareem's invention before the quiz, I would have put him up there. So you're there on my next quiz. Okay, guys, so we're going to move on to our second half, which is all about our health and medicine speakers. So again, sorry about the delay, but I'm really enjoying everybody's talks. You guys are doing such a great job. So I'm hoping that you guys are enjoying the fact that it's running a bit over time. So first of all, we're going to start with, I believe it is Jenny. Jenny, are you here? Jenny. Okay, we'll come back to Jenny. We'll start first with Lorraine then. Lorraine is our radiographer. Lorraine, can you unmute yourself and do you mind just sharing your screen? I will let you do your introduction and tell us all about what you want to speak about. Lorraine, are you happy to share your screen, by the way?
Yes, I am. I'm just trying to figure out how to do this. I think, can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Benedict, have you given her permission?
Yes, everybody should.
Yes, she has.
Okay.
Do you want me to share your screen whilst we're waiting, or are you still?
Yes, do that. I think it's because my computer's not allowing me to, because I didn't allow it access to do that earlier on.
No problem.
So,
Let me get you up right now. Okay. Oops.
Okay. Okay, so my name is Lorraine Lunga. I'm a diagnostic radiographer. So I've been working radiography for just 2 years. So I'm starting with the basis. So what is diagnostic radiography? So it's like it says, they're using cutting edge technology to take images to help for the purpose is to diagnose, but also at the same time, it can be therapeutic as well as diagnostic. So the top left-hand picture is of a plain X-ray chest image. The one next to it is a sagittal CT chest image, just to show the other modalities. And then below that is an ultrasound. So that's a fetus ultrasound. And next to it, it's an MRI picture. So it's a picture of a sagittal view of the knee, basically. So it's just basically different ways of using technology, and it involves a lot of physics. And because I'm clinical, unlike the sciencey people, so I'm more like hands-on with the patient. But we do have medical physics and other people in the background who work more with the machines that we utilize. Next slide, please. So how did I get there? So I spent most of my life in England. So I was born in Congo. I moved here when I was 8. So I did a bit of primary school and high school and stuff. So GCSEs are secondary school exams. So I did those. You have to have maths, English, and science in order to have an entry to this route. I did A levels. So I did French, biology, chemistry, and I also did maths as well. And I started off by studying a biomedical science degree. After biomed, I went to St. George's University, which is a med school, and I did a BSc in diagnostic radiography. And then you then get a healthcare professional council registration. So this is like the professional body for biomeds, chemists, basically all allied healthcare professionals. So people who are clinical that are not doctors and nurses, because they have their own professional bodies. The other entry routes that you have to radiography are you can do a BTech, HND or HNC. So, and then if you do a BTech, it has to be a science BTech. You can also do a science-based access course as well. And you can also go through an apprenticeship. So the National Health Service, which is where I currently work at. So I work for the NHS and I work at the University College Hospital. So we have apprenticeships with Exeter University. So instead of you going to university and doing the traditional route, you can also study and work at UCH, which is a massive teaching hospital in London, and get your degree and also get an opportunity to work with us at the same time. So I'm part of the teaching group in our hospital. So I work with university students from other universities who are doing the traditional route and also apprenticeship students. Next slide. So this one was about my typical day. So I just wanted to show how I use different medical modalities like imaging equipment to get the results, well, to get diagnostic images. So our main role is basically we don't really spend much time with the patient. So on average, we spend about half an hour to an hour with the patient, depending on what we're doing. And usually you start with plain X-ray, which is like the most basic thing. So for example, if somebody comes in and they have been admitted for a fall or something like that, so you would that's a typical X-ray room. So you would X-ray the patient. You read the clinical indications that the A&E doctor, ED doctor would have given you, and you produce a diagnostic image for them. Then you send the image to the ED doctor, and if they need further interpretation, they collaborate with you to try and understand what the patient needs, or you call a radiologist. So the difference between me and a radiologist is a medically trained person that works in medical imaging, where I just have a bachelor's in science in medical imaging. So after that, we use like a CT scanner, for example. So a CT scanner has a bunch of X-rays in a circle, and it produces more 3D images instead of a 2D X-ray image. So that is an example of CT head scan. So again, so we also work with the information that the doctors give us to see what best we can give to the patient. So unlike other countries, like maybe in America or Congo, people who work, radiographers tend to have like a more, they're called button pushers, basically. So where we just get an order and we scan the patient. But in England, your role is a bit extended. So you are supposed to also help diagnosing. So you also have the power to order your own images and interpret them yourself as well, and work with other medical specialists to get the aim. I think that's it. So in terms of, I think the last picture, which is basically, I forgot to also show the other. So we also use applications along with this with the image, with the different machines. So we also use technology to render and make different reconstructions. So what I have there is a picture of that same X-ray up there, but instead you use a CT scanner to produce a 3D image to better understand the mechanism of injury and to help the orthopedic doctors on mending the broken femur. This is an example of us in theatre. So we're involved in orthopedic theatres. So we do imaging in theatres, but we also do imaging in other theatres. as long as we're required, whenever we're requested, we get called and then we bring our machines, we set up and we start imaging the patient. And this is me. So this is not, this is me in my full PPE gear, just to show how radiographers are involved like in the COVID-19 pandemic. So obviously there was a big push in radiology as well in terms of diagnosing COVID-19. So we did that by helping out with producing chest x-rays and also in producing CT images. So one of the main symptoms that people tend to get when they have COVID is blood clots. So in order to help diagnose that, so we did a lot of CT imaging along the patient pathway, basically. That's it. It's quite simple, basically. So the other stuff that I wanted to say, as a radiographer, your job doesn't just start by operating the machine. You can also expand your role. So at the moment, I'm in a crossroad where I'm trying to learn more modalities, but also go further. So you can expand your role by doing masters in interpreting images. So whether it's plain X-ray, MRI, CT, ultrasound. You can also work in your, like when you work in ultrasound, you don't, not only would you interpret your own images, but you can also produce and order your own requests. So you act like a little mini radiologist essentially. And the reason why it's set up like this in the UK is because there's a massive gap of people lacking in my field. And also there's a massive gap of radiologists that we have. So there's all these different ways of role expansion. So we're just the invisible people that are underground next door to the biomedical scientists, because we have to be underground for radiation protection. So and then we just scan people. But yeah, that's all I need to say.
Thank you so much, Lorraine. That was amazing. And working in an A&E where old people fall down every single day, we wouldn't be able to do our jobs without you. So thank you very much. All those broken hips and stuff are diagnosed via you guys. So I will just ask the audience if there's any questions. We can only have one question because we're limited of time. All the other questions, you can pop it in the chat. Was it Guylaine, I think? Do you have a question or?
Ghislaine, thank you.
Ghislaine, sorry, okay.
Yes, that's fine. I have a question for Lorraine. I'm a student therapeutic radiographer myself at the moment. I came into it this year. I have a degree in international business, so it's a totally different route for me at the moment. So what type of advice would you give me as a first year student? And at the moment, I'm currently doing placement as well.
So in terms of, so I would say be more practical when you're in placement, use as much, because a lot of sometimes students tend to shy away and be in the control room a lot. And they come with their books and they're always looking at different ways of positioning the patients and like reading over. I would say when you're in placement to be as practical as possible. So try to shadow and actually do, because you are able to, because you have to sign off some competencies as you go through your degree. So I would say, yeah, be as practical as possible when you're in a placement and read up afterwards, and also write reflections as well. That will help you at the end. When you start, you make your CPD folder, which is a continuous professional development folder, when you're applying for a job. So you need to show your work. And if you wait until the last minute and start thinking of scenarios on how you work like clinically, and also how you work with the patient, it's going to be a bit difficult. So be practical and write reflections regularly on your work as well. And also think about what you want to specialize in. So you don't want to just say a junior or a senior radiographer all your life. It kind of gets boring, to be quite honest, because this career is a really short, it has a short lifespan. A lot of radiographers tend to go to like medical legal stuff, or tend to work with machine manufacturers like Siemens and all of that, and tend to go to medical physics. there's different avenues. Some people go to med school and actually become radiologists. So yeah, so just open your mind, yeah, and don't be stagnant.
Thank you
But,
so
yeah.
much, Lorraine. You have 2 questions in the audience. Sorry, we literally have to be a bit tight with time. There's some few questions in the chat. Do you mind just going into the chat to answer those, Lorraine? And then we'll move on to our next speaker. But thank you so much for that. That was so amazing to hear about what you do, and thank you for breaking it down so clearly. So next in our health and medicine series, we have Jennifer. Jenny, sorry, are you here?
Hey,
Hey,
I'm here. Hi, everyone.
You wanted me to share your screen, is that right?
Yes, please,
yeah,
yeah.
from my end. Okay, 2 seconds. Let me just get that up. Can you see the screen at the moment?
Yes, I can.
Let me see which screen I'm sharing.
I can see the screen.
Okay then, fine. So we'll go on. Do you want to start?
Okay, yes. So my name's Jenny, Jenny for short. I'm 27. So I am a nurse currently in London working in a hematology ward. So I look after patients with blood-bone conditions like sickle cell, anemia, and any other complication related to retroviral conditions. Can go to the next slide.
Yeah, is that okay?
Next slide, sorry. Yeah, that's it. So how to become a nurse. So the route I took, I did a master's in nursing. So I didn't do the 3 years in nursing. My first degree was in social science, and then I kind of had 2 options that I kind of had in mind: social work and nursing. And because of my experience being a healthcare support worker, I had more experience in the clinical side. So I kind of went into nursing. That's how I kind of did my nursing 2 years master degree. But there's other options, like in the slides, if you want to become a nurse, if you're coming, depending from what route you're coming from or what education level you're coming from, I would say from college, it doesn't really matter what sort of A levels or what subjects you've done. You can get into nursing with 5 GCSEs, including maths and English. So maths and English are the most 2 important GCSEs to get into nursing. Another route is an access to nursing. If you didn't get the grades that you needed in your GCSEs, access to nursing kind of helps you get your maths and English, which is the main 2 subjects that is needed for nursing. And then that will kind of prepare you for university. So what the role of a nurse consists of. So like stated in the slide, so patient care, management, medication, administration, assessment, and mentoring. So for example, I came from a night shift this morning. So our routine, first thing when we start a night shift, we'll introduce ourselves to our patients. We do our observations, we'll be checking their blood pressure, making sure that their blood pressure is fine, they're within range, there's no issues. And then we'll start our 10 o'clock medication. There's times of when we administer medication, providing patient with personal care, and obviously making sure that patients are comfortable. That's just a bit of what we do during the nighttime. In the daytime, we obviously work within a multidisciplinary team with doctors, health support workers, physiotherapists, occupational therapists. So we kind of work as a team. So within our nursing role, we do a specific task, and then there's other team members that kind of join in and take part of a patient's care management. Okay, we go to the next slide. So nursing specialities. So there's 3 different main types of nursing, which is mental health, adult and child nursing. I'm an adult nurse. And there's also different specialities. There's surgical, medical, emergency, intensive care. And then if you want to specialize in specific conditions such as diabetes and different other conditions, there are courses that you could do to kind of lead you into that specialized role. At the moment, I am a Band 5 hematology nurse. I am currently planning to relocate to Canada to do nursing practitioner and travel nursing. So I do plan to kind of go up a bit the nursing ladder, but not here in the UK. So they are different nursing specialities that you can go into. So it's just about kind of putting yourself out there and experiencing different specialized areas, and then sort of picking out what you kind of like and enjoy. So we can go to the next. So what I would say to those who are considering a nursing career, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Even as a nurse, you learn, learning never stops. We learn every day. For me, I learn every day. Nursing, literally, it's a learning process. We learn every day. We learn different conditions every day. Sometimes I get patients and that come up with a condition that you don't know and you have to Google, because due to the other politics of NHS, where we get shortage of beds and we get different sort of specialized areas coming into our department. So I would say if you want to get into nursing, get into it, ask questions, and do not listen to negative comments, because you do get a lot of negative comments about nursing, the stress, the workload and pay and all that other stuff. But if you have the passion for it, you've got the skills and it's really what you want to do, go for it. And that is about it from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jenny. So again, if there's any questions, please put it in the chat. I'm just very wary of time. We'll have to get through. There's still a few speakers for medicine, and then we've got Adam at the end who'll be talking about his work with Bora Technology. So please, if you have any questions, just pop it in the chat. And Jenny, are you okay? Just stay and answer the questions in the chat if they come up.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I will stay around. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, we're going to move on next to Dr. Tatiana. So now we're moving on to our medical section. Are you okay to share your screen, or did you want to share mine?
No, that's fine. I'll share my screen.
Okay.
Is it showing? Hold on. Sorry, I'm gonna just click on share screen. This one. And then share. Yes, that's the one. Can you guys see my screen? Yeah?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's all right. Hi, everyone. I'm Tatiana. Thanks for having me today. It's really great. I don't know how to do this. Sorry, I'll figure technology. I'm not that great. Yeah. Hello, hi. Like I said, my name is Tatiana. I was born in Kinshasa. I did primary school there and I came here in 2005. So I started here in year 9. I'm 29 and I've been a doctor since 2015. Currently, I work in a GP practice in Essex in Stanford-le-Hope. I have a specialist interest in dermatology and I'm working towards becoming a GP with specialist interest in dermatology. Yeah. Next. Whenever I talk about medicine and when I'm invited to talks like this, people assume I must have been like very studious in my books all the time in the library. That's actually far from it. I was just a normal girl at school with my friends. Someone here forgot her memo for like non-school uniform day. But yeah, so in terms of journey to medicine, I went to Biopark School where I did GCSEs. So that's in Romford, if anyone's from Essex. And I did science and maths. Wasn't that great at maths, but here we are. So it's an encouragement to anyone here. If you're not that good at maths, it's not the end of the world. You can still do science stuff. Then I went to Hearing Sixth Form in Hornchurch, and I did something slightly different. Most people do A-levels. I did International Baccalaureate. At the time, my dad thought it was a good thing to do because you do a lot of science with other stuff. So I did Spanish and languages, which was very interesting. Then I went to university in Exeter and Plymouth, where I did 5 years of medicine. And now, because the studying never ends, I'm now doing a master's in clinical dermatology with the University of Hertfordshire. It's a 2 years part-time master's, so I should be finishing next year. Next. My day-to-day, it's changed over the years. So when you start with medicine, you're first a junior doctor. Some of you will have heard F1 and F2, where you are working in hospital and you are essentially a job monkey, running around doing the little jobs that the senior doctors make for you to do. And that is most shift work and a lot of night shifts and things like that. But as you progress and you choose your career you want to do, your day-to-day changes. So now that I am doing GP training, which I should finish in August, my day-to-day looks more like a GP. So a lot of you guys will have GPs. So you've seen GPs before and you know how we work. I work in a large practice in Stamford-le-Hope. There's roughly around 8 to 10 doctors, 3 to 4 nurses, healthcare assistants, a lot of receptionists, and it's quite a good team really. My day starts in the morning at 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. I have morning clinics. Clinics look a bit different because of COVID at the moment, so we do a lot of telephone consultation. So I think 90% of our day job at the moment is telephone consultation. Patients book in for appointments and then we call them and we have a 10-minute consultation. And if we need to see them, we then book an appointment and bring them in the practice. We do a lot of video consulting now as well because of COVID as well. And some people can't come in, people that are shielding. And we use a lot of technology. So at the moment, we use something called RQRX. So if you call me, for example, and you say, I've got a mole, I'm worried about my mole, I'll send you a link and then you send me a picture of the mole, we review it and we bring you in. Yeah, face-to-face examination. So we still see patients that need to be seen. For example, if you're calling with abdominal pain, I can't examine you over the phone, so I have to bring you in. So that's just a reminder that the NHS is still open, so you still need to go see your GP. Then around 12 to 1:30, I have lunch, but lunchtime is mostly paperwork, reviewing bloods, reviewing referral letters, and it's just a lot of paperwork. So a lot of it is sitting on your desk and eating as you get along. But some people is different. Some people leave lunchtime for just lunchtime and leave work for later. Then in the afternoon from 1 to 5, I'll have a clinic again. And it will be pretty much the same thing again, telephone consultations, face-to-face, rinse and repeat. I finish at 5, that's when I see the last patient, but then my work goes to like 6:30. And that is again, paperwork, all the work you've generated during the day. And then I finish home time. The good thing about why I chose general practice is I work Monday to Friday, technically 9 to 5. When I get home, I don't have to think about work. I don't have to work weekends. I don't have to work nights. So if anyone here is interested in medicine, I would say think about general practice because you get a great work-life balance, really, especially if you're a woman who works really well. And then you can work part-time. You can work maybe just twice a day, Monday and Tuesday, and then have a long weekend. So that is grand stuff. So in terms of my piece of advice is hold on to the people that believe in you. I remember when I was at college and my biology teacher is actually passed away now. He is one of the only few teachers at school that believed in me because I was actually quite troublemaker at school. So a lot of the teachers didn't really think I was going to get the grades to go into medicine. So when they had to give me predicted grades, no one was keen to give me the grades that I needed, but only this teacher gave me the grades and I had to fight for it. And what I say is, he believed in me and I held on to that and I was like, fine, I can do it. If I concentrated on the teachers and the the other form tutors that told me I couldn't do it and got focused on that, then I wouldn't have gone far. So my advice to young people here is, if you want to do medicine, listen to the yes more than the no. The people that are telling you can't do it, just ignore that. Focus on the people telling you can do that. And someone here mentioned mentoring. Get mentors that can encourage you, that will believe in you and that can push you. So that's why I think things like that is good. That is it. Yeah, I'm done. If anyone has any questions, but I'm aware we're running out of time.
Thank you so much, Tatiana. That was literally very inspiring. And I think a lot of us can relate to those kind of teachers or people who just try and put you off. Please, again, if you've got questions for Tatiana, write it in the chat. My question on behalf of a few of our young people is, what should they do in terms of getting work experience during the pandemic? But can you answer it in the chat? Not to me. But thank you so much. Okay, we're going to move on to our next speaker if he's still here. Dr. Carmen, are you around? I know you're in your scrubs, you're live from the hospital. We appreciate it so much. Do you want me to share
share my screen, please?
Yeah?
I'm on call, running up and down.
Oh gosh, I know you're delivering those babies, so we need you where you're needed. Let me just get your screen up, 2 seconds.
Okay, thank you, Ben.
I love it. He's in character.
2 seconds. I'm just trying to locate where yours are. KYE people, I don't know if you've got access to it on your end.
Me?
No, sorry, I'm talking to the team. Letitia or Emmeline, are you able to check on the drive if you can see it? Oh yeah, sorry, I found it. Okay, no worries. Oh, I got buried there. Okay. So let me just share the screen. Where's the screen? Where's it gone? Okay, do you want to start talking whilst I just locate it?
Sure. Hi everyone, my name is Carmen and I'm Carmen Kasai. Actually, I'm a twin. I really love talking about my twin brother more than myself because he has been very inspirational and very encouraging. So it's very important to have people who can support you or can see through your dreams. I was born in Congo and then left Congo because of my father's job. We've been traveling quite a lot and yeah, so this year in September I'll be 32. I feel like a old bag already, been through. So literally I am a Obsangani Junior Reg. This is just a rank in obstetrics, like with everything with structure. And sorry Ben, if you can go to the next slide please. So my background, I have because of the travel journey, I've done more of my primary and secondary education in the French world, from Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, and Belgium, where I had my baccalaureate in science, and then moved here when I was quite older, around the age of 16, 17. Believe me or not, at that stage is because when you're just about to go to university, and the difficulty I had was the language. Although my grades in baccalaureate were good, but what I needed to do was to have here in England, the most university will need you to have English, GCSE, and maths. So just kind of validations, which I went to do. And my primary degree was going to medicine. My primary degree was into pharmacology and immunology. Then after that, I went to graduate entrance, graduated in 2016. As with medicine, I carry on doing a master in medical education, currently doing my postgraduate certificate and in obstetric and gynecology ultrasound, so to scan. And if we can go to the next slide, please. And so my day today in obstetric, as you've seen, is basically running up and down. I think Tatiana mentioned this correctly. Although you are F1, F2, I don't know whether it's the same in the GP, unless you get even to the consultancy level, even being a registrar, you still follow up the orders, you still not taking full decision, because if you take a decision, you need a validation for a senior. And am I doing this well, or is it safe for this patient to go with this therapy or not? And so it took me a long time to tell to my mom, because primarily I was doing my training in orthopedics, but I found this very difficult and I didn't pass a few exams. So I have to retrain myself going to obstetrics. And it was very difficult to tell to my mom, actually, I'm doing obs and gynae. It took me a year because I didn't really know how to explain to her I'm doing obs and gynae. She was like, oh yeah, you're a surgeon, you're training surgeons. Until one day there was a case, I tried to explain to her what I was doing. So, oh, actually, you're delivering baby. So they think I'm delivering baby all the time. But in obstetric, it's very fun. You go, both medicine and surgery merge. So in medicine, you have all the presentations. In surgery, you go from gynecology with fibroid, onco gynecology with cancer, ovarian cancer, and you come down with obstetric. You still also have a surgery like emergency cesarean section, elective cesarean sections, and obstetric is very fantastic because you have to look at the holistic approach, where with the IVF, you have to look at the antenatal. It's a lovely journey. I will not bother you too much with that. If you can go to the next slide, please. So to be very precise, my motto is Ad Majorana Tussum. Why is it very important to me, Ad Majorana Tussum, which means I was born for the great things. It doesn't mean that I am the only one. No, all of us, we are born for great things. But I made it very particular with myself because I've always been put down with many people. I've been told I will never become a doctor. I've been told I cannot do this, I cannot do that. I just tried to prove people wrong. I didn't have, because of my background traveling many countries, it has been plainly to be down because I never finished really an education system fully, or I never got on time for an education system. So it has been disrupted throughout. Because of that, people were always telling me, oh, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. But having the correct mentor, having people believe in me, like my twin brother, for instance, is the biggest fan. Always encourage me, always push me forward, always being there for me. I don't know if he wasn't there, by God's grace, I don't know if I could have coped, literally. So for anyone who's following their dreams, who want to do something, you can do it, literally. I never put somebody down. I always encourage everyone. I'm always open to help. If you want to shadow or to come to the hospital, just email me or get my email from Benedict. I'll be more than happy to have any of you. And also the other things, mentorship is important. To find an appropriate mentor who can guide you. Actually, when I reach the senior level of obstetric, I personally will leave medicine because I created my own tech company in innovation. We are working on gathering data in public transport and with alert with infections and to control the infection in public transport and public place. Our project has been funded partially and is doing great. And also innovation in Congo and encouraging young people to come through innovations. So I can send you all the links. Please, if you have any question, just send me messages and I'll be more than happy to answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Carmen. That was very, very inspirational. I love what you said about mentoring. Guys, if you have questions, please, please, please put it in the chat. My question was, why did you go into obs and gynae? But don't answer here. Please answer inside the chat. And you guys send your questions to him. And I love what you said about going back to Congo. That's why Adam, who's going to be our speaker at the end, is just going to literally close off our talk with bringing your skills back to Congo. But first, we have one more speaker in terms of medicine. We have Dr. Pedange, who's also from Condada. So I will let you go next. But yes, please, guys, put your questions in the chat. Dr. Pedange, do you want me to share the screen, or are you happy on your end?
I think I can share it on my end. Just give me 1 minute. Let me try and see what I can do. There's just lots and lots of pop-ups on my screen. Okay, do you know what? You do it from your end. That should be fine.
Okay, let me just go ahead and do that.
Nice. Okay. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Benedict. Thank you, KYE, and all the speakers we've had so far. Lots of wonderful speakers, lots of really inspirational talks and advice. I really like what Carmen had to say, and even what Tatiana was saying about finding someone who believes in you. I think that's really important, because you have to believe in yourself, but you need to have people around you who also share that vision or have that same belief. Okay, so today I'm going to talk a bit about myself and a bit about Condada, but we'll just quickly go through to the next slide. So this is me. So I am a general practitioner. I've been a GP for the past 7 years, I believe. So obviously medical school and all of that, but general practice, for people who don't know, is what we call a family physician. So in the States and other countries, they're considered consultants. But for some reason here in the UK, being exceptional, they call them GPs. So people don't necessarily have the same level of respect or sort of acceptance for the knowledge that GPs possess. But in terms of general practice, it's a great profession, it's a great sort of career. And just in terms of how I got to become a general practitioner, I have to mention my background and upbringing, sort of raised in Hackney and Camden. Wasn't born in the UK, but I came to the UK very young. So for all intents and purposes, I'm British, as British as they get, so to speak. But yes, raised in Hackney and Camden. Hackney's a bit more rough and Camden's a bit more bougie, for those who know. I was really young, but I enjoyed reading. I loved science, technology, programs, and art. So, I'm sure everyone used to watch, various programs, but I used to be big in things like, maybe not Thunderbirds, but a lot of the programs that we used to watch were sort of the things that used to inspire me around technology, around science, and really promoted the love of solutions and how to get to solutions and the way people use technology and science to come up with the smart answers, really. I did attend a failing school. My school was the one that got closed down in Camden. There was the unfortunate sort of incident where there was a headmaster that was killed at another school, but the pupil or the pupils that killed that headmaster were from my school, and subsequently the secondary school that I was going to was closed down. And so obviously that had a big impact on education, because I was in the last year of that school prior to it closing. So all the other students in the year, 300 students, had to be dispersed all around London after a decision was made to close that school down. I'm from a big family, no medics in the family, but very strong work ethic and obviously very aspirational immigrant family. And so, yeah, we just had those current aspirational messages. You can do it, you can achieve this, you can become this. I want my son to be, a lawyer, a doctor, or whatever. Eventually, I became an engineer. So I did a 4-year degree in engineering. Part of the reason was because it was an engineering in medicine. It was a medical engineering degree. So it was a 4-year qualification, all about solutions, all about sort of using different things, thermodynamics, computational maths, lots of funny, weird things which I've not subsequently had to use. But you know, it was a good grounding in science and reasoning and logic and working through problems and having a system. And subsequently, because I loved medicine and science and I had the opportunity, I went on to the graduate entry program, a 4-year program. So you're studying more. I spent quite a lot of time at university, longer than average. So, but yes, you come out at the end, you're a doctor. And obviously I wasn't keen to commit another 7 to 8 years to go on to be a surgeon, because obviously you weigh up all these things, all these factors have to come into play. So I decided I'd do a GP training program, which was a 3-year program. And subsequently I've gone on to become a full-time GP, a GP partner, which means I run a practice of 18,000 patients, or a practice that covers 18,000 patients in Essex, along with 10 other partners, yeah, there's 10 other partners. Yeah, as a GP, you're a manager and a physician. So you're dealing with problems, you're dealing with undifferentiated presentations, lots of different complaints, and you're dealing with children, you know, things from birth all the way to death, and you're dealing with everything in between. So everything that doesn't quite fit any particular pattern, things that are unclear or, you know, prolonged, that is the role of the GP to deal with. Do you want to go on to the next page? So I think for people who are interested in a career in medicine, I think you have to be very aware of what it means, because the assumption is that, you know, you become a doctor and immediately, you know, you're rolling in it. You've got lots of money, and you know, it's yeah, it's a massive holiday, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and it's ongoing work on yourself as an individual, but also to sort of maintain standards and sort of, you know, yeah, to sort of to be the best doctor that you can be. And you know, there are disadvantages to medicine compared to sort of other careers that you wouldn't necessarily think about. And so I would urge that anyone who's interested in medicine, interested in general practice, you know, thinks long and hard about, you know, the benefits as well as the risks. And so yeah, some of the disadvantages are there. Obviously, there's lots of politics, particularly in the UK, but that could be any Western country, or it could even be Congo. But yeah, there's lots of potential problems, and litigation. There's more and more of a problem in the UK, which is becoming like the US, where people are being sort of hooked into the no win, no fee sort of system. So if you've got any sort of complaint about anything at all, you can go to a lawyer like Dr. Karim, and he will try. You know, they will help you sort of get a claim for money against a clinician who you felt did you wrong. Sometimes it's legitimate, but often, you know, there's lots of nuance, there's lots of grays, and you know, people sometimes don't appreciate the challenge of trying to have a safe consultation in 10 minutes, which is what we try and do in the UK. But yeah, there are lots of perks. And obviously, if you've got really good eyesight, you can see that the income is quite significant, particularly at the top. And orthopedic surgeons like Carmen was going to be, they do quite well. Next page, please. So in terms of tips and hints, this was something that I didn't have to think too long about, because there's so much advice that I have because of all the sort of experiences I've had, and I think a lot of them have been sort of mirrored in what the other panelists have had to say. But yes, a mentor is very important, and a mentor can be physical, so someone that you can actually call on the phone and speak to and, you know, get advice from, but they can also be like a mental mentor, if that makes sense, but someone who has attributes and a way of doing things that you aspire to be like, or, you know, that you believe in, or that you can appreciate. There's lots of books about this sort of thing, but essentially you need to have the right attitude, mindset, and you need to sort of be highly motivated, particularly if you're overcoming some of the challenges that come from being an immigrant or having certain other challenges that we as people from Congo invariably do have. But yes, being proactive, having faith, because faith can move mountains. A growth mindset is the other thing I had to say, because this is something that I read about, which I found very interesting. Growth mindset allows you to, progress and develop and try and do better with every subsequent attempt. I think that, so I wanted to say a bit about Condada. This is just a brief message, because obviously I feel as the Congolese diaspora, we have various challenges that are unique to us, and we also have a perspective that's equally unique. I think there's been lots in the news, particularly following the untimely passing of George Floyd, and the awakening of people regarding inequalities in health and generally outcomes. We do need to have some system or way of supporting each other and helping each other. And that's one of the reasons that we, myself and Tatiana, initially established Condada to try and have a network of professionals, students who are working in healthcare, particularly medicine, to try and see what we can do for our community here in the UK, but equally for our community back in Congo. So there's lots of problems that we have here in the UK and in the diaspora, specifically related to sort of mistrust of health professionals, lack of collaboration, overrepresentation in negative statistics, particularly knife crime and other sorts of issues. But equally, even in terms of sort of birth, the obstetric risks that Black women face. So yes, in terms of Condada, we're here. We've been a bit quiet, largely in part because of the pandemic and how it's hampered our efforts to sort of network and bring people together. But going forward, and as the lockdown lifts locally, we are planning on having events and activities and projects that can be that can serve the community. But yes, nearly finished. What I was just going to say is that we are looking for members, we are looking for partners, we are looking for supporters. So we are also looking for mentees, we are looking for volunteers. So if you feel that you fit into any of the categories, you want to volunteer, you want to be mentored, you want to become a member, you want to support us financially or materially or in any other way, or you want to help us with our implementation of our projects, then please contact us, contact Tatiana, contact KYE, and give us your information, and we'll get in touch with you ourselves, and hopefully we can do something great for Congo.
The GoFundMe, please, Bidange.
Sorry, what was that? Oh, yes, Tatiana had reminded me, but I completely forgot. We are in the process of doing a GoFundMe page for one of our projects regarding obstetric fistula disease, which we all know is a massive problem, particularly in the east of Congo. But it's not just in the east. Obviously, there's problems with the infrastructure all across Congo. And in terms of funding, we're trying to raise a bit of money that we can send towards helping women in need. So if you know someone, if you have funds yourself and you want to help donate, please equally donate to our page. I think we're going to send a page or a link at the very end. I think Tatiana might do that for me because I'm not got the link at hand.
In the chat.
Hello?
I've put it in the chat.
Excellent. Very kind of you. I think that's everything. Okay.
Thank you so much. And yes, big up to the work that Condada do. So I've worked with Condada as well with some of the projects that they've done, and they do a lot to try and kind of help the Congolese community within healthcare. So thank you very much. I'm just, again, so weary of time. So please, all your questions, put it in the chat. Dr. Pedange, if you don't mind answering the questions as they go through there. Sure, and then we will move on to our final speaker. This speaker, I'll let him introduce himself. But yeah, I'll let you just come on and then you can say all the amazing stuff that you've done. Thank you to everybody who's been staying here patiently so far. So Adam, do you want me to share the screen or are you happy?
I'll go ahead and do that because I made a few changes. So
yeah, no problem.
And again, I appreciate you all for doing this work that you are doing with the youth in the UK, and also I'm actually very much inspired. I'm glad I followed everybody, Kevin and everybody else that spoke. So it was such an amazing and very inspirational to me and actually to even my work. So that's pretty amazing. I'll go ahead without wasting any time. I'll go ahead and just share my screen with you. And yes, I don't know if you can see. And yeah, my name is Adam Shebindu Héritier, as they call me in Congo. And I'll just speak a little bit about the journey of a 23-year-old mechanical engineer and biomedical engineer. I have a master's degree from, I think I'm gonna go ahead. Yeah, I have a master's degree from Texas Tech University, and actually I have a bachelor degree from Texas Tech University, and I graduated from high school in Kinshasa. Came to the US, got my associate in engineering, but mostly kind of concentrating in petroleum engineering because that's where the money was back in the days. So everybody, like, petroleum had a lot of money, so I started there. I was about to go to London, but it didn't work out. I did not speak English and the process was just too complicated for me. The US was easier. So I came to the US in 2014, went to a college. I learned English. I think it took me like 3 months, I think. Then after that, I went for my bachelor's degree, and that's 20 years old. I got my bachelor's degree. And I started my entrepreneurship journey in 2017, basically I developed this technology when Dr. Karim was speaking about patents and such. I actually got into the same situation where I came up with a technology at the university. And when we started talking about interest, they basically told me that they're gonna take everything. So for me, in opposite to Dr. Karim, I actually stopped. And I created the company. So I just shipped everything. We do all the research in Congo. We do most of our work there, and we are still developing that technology, hopefully. But I did get some money from the university, so it helped me with a few things. But so I started my entrepreneurship journey in 2017 in the US, actually. In 2018, I worked as a HVAC, like air conditioning engineer. For findings, and then I got my master's in mechanical engineering and bioengineering with my thesis in microfluidics at 22. And I worked in the field. I took a job, worked as a field process engineer. It was kind of a full-time travel job, so I kind of visited, I think, 45 states out of the 50. Went pretty much everywhere in the US, visited, and I got tired of it, and actually it was taking too much of my time, so I stopped. Went back to grad school. Right now, I am a PhD candidate in biomedical engineering, more focused in immunology. And I also have a NIH grant on the work that we are doing. I'm studying sepsis, and I'm studying kind of at the very single cell level. I'm studying brain cells and immune cells and trying to find interaction, especially with one of the top in the world right now, and especially with COVID, people who get COVID and then afterward, there is like this inflammation that happen and people get sepsis, they get organ failure, and they die after COVID. Or we could see like what we have been observing, basically like how like sepsis has been starting to affect kind of mental status of people. So now I am starting to understand what is that interaction between immune cells and immune cells and brain cells. So I've developed a technology. Hopefully it works, everything works as planned. As Kevin said, like the path is not a straight line. You make something today and then you have to go through the up and downs and such. So I've developed the technology and now I'm working to see if that's gonna do all the analysis that I'm looking for. So About Bora Technology. So I founded Bora Technology. It's since 2018 in Congo, but it's now official. We officialized the company this year. So it's been kind of a huge kind of also up and down path between all the stuff that we're doing. Our goal basically is to build a bridge between technology and community, because I do believe that you cannot develop a country without developing technology. If you don't make your own technology, you cannot go any further. So we are kind of just working that area. So we have Bora Technology. As a part of Bora Technology, we have Bora Scientific Journal, which is the very first journal of publication in the Congo. We are actually launching next week. So we are kind of very hopeful. We are going to launch it with a magazine first, featuring a lot of Congolese scientists we talked, and we're still going to feature, more. Every day I hear about a new, like I just heard about Karim today with the great stuff he's doing. So I'm probably going to reach out, and I've talked to a lot of people who are in here right now. So we are having that. It's kind of going to be the very first to boost our kind of the education system in Congo as well, to make it more challenging, to also kind of inspire a lot of youth to join STEM in the Congo and to do scientific research. Apart from that, we have the EACMR, which is the East African Center of Multidisciplinary Research. And that one, we are doing mostly computational engineering work. We have some of my collaborators here at Princeton University and at Texas A&M, and also Texas Tech. We are working with young people there, mostly like in civil engineering, but also we are trying to look at soil sciences in Goma, in Eastern Congo. We have our office in Goma. We have an office in Goma, and we also we are creating sustainable technological solutions. And I'm going to show a few things that we are working on. And my business model personally is investing in people. I created this company not to just try to stop as much as we can all the imports that we do of technology in the Congo. So we invest in people. My first year, my entire time, we invested a lot of money on just training people. So we hired a lot of engineers. We started, I think, 3 people, and now we are 16 of us. We hired engineers, and with those engineers, we trained them. And after training them, now we have kind of an army of engineers that are also training other people. We are like next week, it's going to be Semaine de la Science in Congo, and we are working with Semaine de la Science to train even more people in Goma, and I think probably it's going to be on the media a lot. And maybe you've heard about Semaine de la Science, which is a kind of the biggest scientific event in the Congo every year. And we're going to be like we partner up with Semaine de la Science to train even more people. So we have offices in Goma and Lubumbashi right now, and we are working our way toward Kinshasa and hopefully the rest of the country. Okay, what we have made, our technology. So one of the things that is very successful that we have had is the Bora, the Bora Lave-Main, which is like a automated hand washing post that we kind of work in schools and hospitals and such, mostly in Goma and now also in Lubumbashi. With COVID, everything like in Congo, it's pretty much hard to have like a place where you have like contactless hand washing stations. And we don't want to modify kind of the plumbing of houses and such. So we made these portable systems. It's a pretty much very small system, this one, that's help with like washing hands. I don't have really much time to show the video, but that is one. The other thing that we have developed is the Bora Smart, which is a smart electricity meter to basically, because the crisis of electricity in Congo is very big. Anybody doing research in electrical engineering has no data because nothing is measured. And so we created this technology that uses basically a GSM signal to measure electricity and transfer it to a server, and then we transform that, and then you can pay with mobile money. So we are hoping that this technology get into like Snell and all the other companies that are going to be interested. Two things that we're actually currently developing. We are developing a rainwater filtration system. Crisis of water in Goma is really, really high. About half of the population doesn't have access to water. People use rainwater. So now we just try to transform that rainwater. And we've been facing like a huge challenge in Goma, especially since it's a volcanic region and there is no research center in Goma. That's kind of something that's, it hurts me, but it's a reality. There's no way to know what's the composition of the water. And even the OVD that is there, that is in charge of like basically the volcanic kind of observation, they don't have the funding. We asked them, they said like, yeah, we started research, but we stopped because we didn't have $5,000. I was like, really $5,000? That's why you stopped. So we are doing like some water characterization and studying kind of that water in Lubumbashi at Unilu. And we are studying a filtration system that just gonna be a local filtration system that we can send hopefully to all the remote area around the city. The other thing that we are actually developing right now is, because of COVID, we also have to respond, is a mechanical ventilator that we are kind of, it's still under development. We started last year, but it's a long process. It's something that costs $25,000 and we are trying to bring it at low cost. So it's not really, it's a huge challenge that we are on. And the big exciting news that is coming up soon is the Bora smartphone. So we are working on a model of a smartphone. Actually, we are almost done pretty much with a model of a smartphone that is gonna be, basically, we're gonna start selling it in Congo everywhere. And also, hopefully very soon, not too far off, we're gonna install our own factory for cell phones in Eastern Congo, in Goma. That's kind of the end goal of this factory, because I don't like importing anything. I'm just completely, totally against importing anything in the Congo. We have to be able to make our own technology and develop our own stuff locally. A few words of that. I take a lot from my dad. My dad is in the army, so in the Congolese army, obviously. And one thing that he always say is like, love what you do, and don't count days, and make sure that every day counts for you and for your country. So for me, when I was in college, I used to have something I call 30 minutes for Congo every day. And on that 30 minutes, I would inform myself about Congo, I read the news, I would know what's going on. I've written a lot of stuff. I used to publish a blog, basically, in my early time in college when I still had a lot of time. So I would write, I would read something about the Congo, or I would just learn something, or I would get involved. I would talk to somebody about the Congo, or I would just be involved in somehow, but for 30 minutes. And that helped me kind of keep my ties between Congo and my lifestyle in the US. And with that bridge, I know what's going on. I can actually suggest some solutions and stuff like that. Because of the 30 minutes, sometimes we take it for granted. You can spend 30 minutes on social media, but if you use that 30 minutes to kind of just know something about the Congo, something exciting, and it will be very helpful. The other thing I learned from my dad, and that's what leads my career path, is like always learn so you can understand in order to form and transform. And that's like the learning process, as many said here, it doesn't stop. It's keep on going and going. So we have to keep on learning, and the goal to learn is to inspire the younger generation so they can also replace us. And it's something that's kind of the previous generation didn't do so well in Congo, because people tend to build themselves instead of kind of building institution and helping other generation coming down. So that's kind of one thing. One other thing that's actually very, very interesting to me, like my kind of, as the brother said earlier, having that mentor, kind of a mentor role model or mentor. And to me, is Elon Musk. I've kind of watched him closely. And one of the things he said that was interesting is that ordinary people are capable of extraordinary things. That is very important. It doesn't take a genius. That's one thing. It doesn't take a genius. It just takes a person who's dedicated, as the other people said here. You don't have to be a genius. Just be dedicated and just have fun. Usually, like, this stuff are fun. If you're having fun, then you are not really feeling how like crazy things are. And one of the things that's kind of just my personal advice, my personal quote is like, if one person did it, it can be done. That means it's not impossible. And if it's within the physics, the laws of physics, it can be. So we are not limited. The laws of physics are already there. So if it's within those laws of physics, no matter what you think, how crazy it is, somebody somewhere a Chinese somewhere will invent it, or a Congolese somewhere will invent it. So we have to think about it. If it's within the laws of physics, don't limit yourself. Just think like, okay, if the laws of physics are correct, everything should work out. And one last thing, I like to get in touch with people. If I can provide any advice or any help, I have my social media. We have our website, boratechnology.org. If you go there, you can visit some of our work. Our magazine website should be up next week, and our first edition of the Bora Science magazine should be up. With it will be available for purchase online. We can kind of buy a copy online, or we can ship you a copy. Or you can also, basically, we're gonna be in English and in French, and we're gonna be selling them in Kinshasa as well. So you can kind of see how great, because it's crazy how much Congolese scientists are doing in the world. It's crazy how much Congolese scientists are doing in the US, in Europe, even in Congo, of Africa. So it would be great if kind of a lot of people are aware that Congo is making a difference, and we can all contribute to changing our country. So my Instagram is Cool Nerd, because I think of myself as a cool nerd, I guess. And so my Instagram is Cool Nerd, and my Facebook is Adam Héritier, Adam Shebindu, and my Instagram, my Twitter is Adam Héritier. So thank you so much, and thank you for organizing this. I think I took too much time, but yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That is the perfect way, I think, for us to end today's session. You guys who made it to the end, can we just give ourselves a round of applause? Some of us have been here since 2 p.m. till 5:22, and I've learned so much, heard so much. Can I just say that we definitely need to all stay connected and allow for more events like this to happen in the future. KYE, we're planning to organize more workshops. It's not just about STEM, creative things, any things where Congolese people are doing positive things, and especially to do with young people, we are there. So please, if you want to be involved or just want to know about our future events, you can follow us on our media pages and leave your email addresses as well if you want us to keep you up in the loop with what we're doing. But yeah, thank you to all our speakers. You guys are honestly amazing, and I hope in the future we can do something like this again. Why not make it a yearly event, STEM workshop, encourage young people to know about what's happening with Congo. And Adam, definitely when your book is out, just share it with the team, and then we will help you promote that as well. So I think, yeah, we spent a lot of time talking. I don't know, Tatiana, did you want to add anything else? Or?
Yeah, no. So if anyone's interested or would like to, or anyone's missed and you want to share this with them, we will be uploading this on our website. So that's KY Empowerment, spelled out empowerment. .org.uk. I think someone's put it in the chat. If you're still looking for our website, you can definitely message and get into contact with any of us. Our Instagram is the.kye, and we'll be able to upload this. And what we will do as well is kind of like send out some sort of like newsletter email to everyone who wants to know more about this, where we will share the email addresses of any of the speakers, so you can really get in contact with them if you haven't been able to. That's obviously if the speakers want to. I've definitely been inspired. I think Congolese excellence, I absolutely love it. I would love to see this thing that Adam is currently building, and obviously the factory is a great idea in Goma. I'm actually currently in Goma myself right now. So it would be absolutely amazing. And also the idea of just inspiring youth in Kinshasa to get more involved in STEM. There are a lot of things coming back, because I've been back now in Kinshasa for like 6 months, that are just holding our youth back. And we really do have to like support them, and doing things like this and, you know, learning and bringing things back is something that is absolutely vital. And a PhD is not just a one-way street. There's so many different types of PhDs. There's so many different routes you can do in medicine and specializing. My PhD was with integrated studies, so that was a different structure completely. So I definitely think that STEM is vital to our everyday lives. And I encourage everyone to kind of like find out about themselves and their journeys. And you don't have to stick to what you are doing. You can also end up doing other things. Just like Benedict was saying, if you like technology and you like law, you can be a lawyer within a tech field. You can do anything. So that is, I've been inspired, and I absolutely love you guys a lot. So thank you so much for everyone that joined and our speakers. That's everything I had to say.
Thank you so much, guys. So yeah, before you leave, if you are happy, just pop your email in the chat to us, and then we will definitely keep you up to date. And then yeah, I think that's it. I don't know if there was any other anything somebody wanted to say? Probably not, we've been here for 3 hours. But yeah, just leave your emails and then I will be ending the Zoom call very soon. Thank you to everybody who came. Okay, all right then. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.